Hey everyone, thanks so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
After their brutal clash with Doflamingo, the Straw Hat Pirates are thrown 10 years into the past, landing in a world that isn't ready for them. The Marines are weaker, the balance of power is fragile, and the legends of the New World haven't fully risen yet. Armed with future knowledge, hardened experience, and terrifying strength, Luffy and his crew must navigate a timeline where one wrong move could change history forever. Allies become suspicious, enemies underestimate them, and every island they touch sends ripples through the world. As chaos spreads and the past begins to bend, the question becomes clear. Will the Straw Hats protect the future they came from, or accidentally reshape the entire era of piracy? Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is The Crew That Shook the World by KuramaSageNaruto. Respect to author.
Chapter 11, Reverse Mountain. So how do we get into the Grand Line? Johnny asked. There's a small hole in the mountain that we enter, Nami told them, just follow my orders and we'll be fine. I hate this trip, Jin muttered, hopefully it's smoother than last time. It will be, Nami replied as she heard Usopp yell. I can see the entrance, Usopp yelled. Nami directed the ship in the direction that Usopp was leading her in. She was taking notice of the waves beneath her and soon came upon the entrance to the Grand Line. She made sure that no mistakes were made this time and soon the Going Merry entered Reverse Mountain and started to shoot up towards the sky. This is the start of our dreams, Luffy yelled as the crew stood in a circle, to become the Pirate King. To become the world's greatest swordsman, Zoro declared. To draw a map of the world, Nami yelled. To become a brave warrior of the sea, Usopp yelled. To become a doctor and master using my bow, Kaya declared. To find the All Blue, Sanji announced. To sail all of the Grand Line, Jin declared. To become a great swordsman duo, Johnny and Yosaku announced. Let's go, Luffy yelled as they hit the top of Reverse Mountain and started to descend. What the hell was that? Johnny yelled as a loud noise cut through their cries of joy. It looks like a mountain, Yosaku stated as they notice a large figure blocking the exit of Reverse Mountain. Shit, Luffy yelled as a large whale came into view, Gomu Gomu no Bazooka. Luffy's hands shot forward and hit the whale, causing the Going Merry to come to a halt and the whale to look down at them. The whale soon started to go under the water and opened its mouth, quickly swallowing the cruise ship. The crew from this timeline fell into a panic as the whale swallowed them and they navigated through the whale's throat. As they exited the whale's throat they entered its stomach and noticed that they seemed to be back outside. The sky was blue with white clouds throughout and a small island was in the middle of what seemed like the ocean. As soon as they started to look around, a large squid appeared next to them. Sanji's leg lit up as he prepared to kick the squid, only for it to be harpooned by a man exiting the house on the island. The man has an appearance based off a flower, with the petals around his head. He has a rather stocky and muscular body, is bald on the top of his head, but with white hair with yellow flower petal-like things, that have purple near the bottom of them, and a white beard that splits in two parts. His lower lip is noticeably larger than his upper. He wears a pink shirt with a yellow and green stripe with purple circles in the yellow along with bluish-gray shorts with sandals. He also wears glasses, a seaweed necklace, 3 gold bracelets, and a green gem bracelet on his left wrist. He also has a scar on his left arm. Who are you? Johnny asked, visible frightened by the strength of the old man. It's polite for you to tell me who you are first, the man replied. Alright then, Yosaku started. I'm Crocus, my blood type is, Crocus started. What are you doing? Jin yelled. Don't worry Jin, Zoro told him, this man is just playing with you. Why would you ruin my fun like that? Crocus asked as he noticed a hatch in the sky open. The crew heard a bazooka fire and watched as Crocus jumped in front of the rocket and let it explode on him. Crocus fell into the water as Sanji jumped in to save him. Usopp acted quickly and knocked out the 2 intruders and Luffy caught them in the air and placed them on the ship. The first is a strange-looking young man who wears a golden crown on top of his red hair and has his agent number written on his cheeks. He wears a green suit with white lace along with a ruffled red scarf. His attire makes him look like a prince or a king. The next is a strange-looking young woman with long wavy light blue hair, with 2 locks hanging down, one on either side of her head, at about chin length. She wore her ponytail in a very high position and has brown eyes. She has a slender body, she wears a striped shirt and a green coat with fur on the collar. She also wears a belt with green gems and a white pair of jeans. Is he okay? Kaya asked as Sanji brought Crocus back on board. Yeah, the old man's fine, Sanji stated as Crocus stood up. Now get us out of here. Fine, the exit is right there, Crocus told them. Crocus led the crew and their 2 captors out of the whale's stomach and onto the Twin Capes. He quickly jumped off their ship and yelled at Laboon to stop slamming his head into Reverse Mountain. As the Straw Hats disembarked, they watched Crocus temporarily calm the giant whale. Yosaku soon asked why the whale was doing what it was doing, and Crocus decided to tell them the whale's history. He explained to them that the whale's name was Laboon, and 50 years ago the whale entered the Grand Line with a pirate crew. The Rumbar pirates were a rowdy bunch that loved music, and they had left the whale in Crocus's care to sail the Grand Line. The crew never returned, and Crocus heard that they had escaped the Grand Line through the calm belt. When he explained that the Laboon, the whale had started to slam his head against Reverse Mountain in hopes of getting through. "I've heard enough," Luffy yelled as he jumped into the air, "Gomu Gomu pistol." The crew watched on in shock as Luffy continued to punch the whale in the head, only to declare that the fight was a draw. He soon drew his Jolly Roger on Laboon's head and told the whale that if he slammed his head into the mountain, the Jolly Roger would come off. He told the whale that after he had become Pirate King he would be back to visit. "He really is something," Crocus stated. "You guys do have a log pose, right?" "We do," Luffy told him as he passed it to Luffy. "I stole it from those weird guy." "You thief," the man yelled. "At least take us to our hometown," the woman pleaded. "It's Whiskey Peaks." "That's easy enough," Luffy replied, shocking them. "The first island that we are visiting is Whiskey Peaks." "You know you can't change your route after that," Crocus warned. "It's fine," Luffy told him. "I'll take a different route the next time." The next time, Crocus whispered, "Well, good luck." The crew and their two guests, who were revealed as Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday, boarded the Going Merry and set out as Crocus watched them with a large smile on his face. So that was the boy that Shanks talks so highly about, Crocus thought. I guess he's the one that will take over Roger's legacy. Chapter 12, Whiskey Peak. "There it is," Nami yelled as they approached a strange-looking island. "I guess this means goodbye then," Miss Wednesday yelled. "Thank you for bringing us here," Mr. 9 said as both jumped off the side of the bridge. "They were some weird people," Yosaku stated as he watched them swim away. "Be on guard," Nami told them as they approached the shore and noticed the large crowd cheering for them. As they approached the docks, the Straw Hats took notice of a couple of strange people. The first was a tall man with a small red nose and has blonde hair in a style that resembles a powdered wig. He dressed like a gentleman. He has the number 8 at the tips of his collar. The other is a tall, muscular woman with dark skin and pink hair pulled into short twin tails. She wore a nun's outfit. "Ma, ma, ma, ma," the strange man whispered as his voice adjusted. "Welcome, pirates. I am the major of this town, Agarapoi, and we have decided to throw you a part for making it to the first island in the Grand Line." "A party," Jin stated in suspicion before he was dragged off the ship by Johnny and Yosaku. "Let's party," the former bounty hunter duo screamed in joy. "Be ready," Zoro reminded the time travelers. "This is where it all begins." "He's gone," Nami muttered as they watched Luffy rush ahead of everyone. "I guess something's never changed." "Then let's go," Sanji stated as he walked forwards, only to notice Zoro walking away to the right. "Moss head, we go straight." "Shut up, dark brow," Zoro yelled as he rejoined the group. "Let's go then." Nami just shook her head. She walked in front of the group with a small smile gracing her lips. As they entered the town hall, they noticed that Luffy had already began eating and Jin, Johnny and Yosaku had began drinking. The rest of the crew soon joined in with Zoro and Nami drinking, Usopp telling tall tales with Kaya by his side, Sanji flirting with every woman he could find, and Luffy soon joining the drinking with the strange nun. It was hours later when the Straw Hats started to doze off and the party started to unwind. Johnny, Yosaku and Jin fell asleep in the corner as they watched Sanji pass out as he was flashed by a woman. Usopp and Kaya fell asleep soon after that, and finally the last 3 Straw Hats passed out. The nun slowly stood up and walked outside to join the rest of the town. "This better be worth it," the lady stated. "We just used the rest of the booze and food." "Look at this, Miss Monday," the major stated as he pulled out 2 pieces of paper, 100 million belly for the captain and 50 million belly for the first mate. "The captain doesn't seem like he's worth that much," Miss Monday replied. "Are we sure he didn't just get that bounty for how strong his swordsman is?" "No, the papers Mr. 8 has is right," Miss Wednesday stated. "He gives off a strange presence." "He is stronger than me," a voice stated from the roof. "What are Baroque Works doing out here?" "Miss Monday, some of the pirates escaped," one of the Baroque Works members yelled. "Let the rest sleep," Zoro stated, "and you'll keep your heads." "Yes, big bro said," Johnny yelled as he appeared next to Zoro. "Be quiet," Yosaku whispered as he appeared on the other side of Zoro. "You two are idiots," Sanji stated from a rooftop opposite from Zoro. "Whoever takes out the most wins." "Of course," Zoro stated as he drew Wado Ikimanji. "Party table kick course," Sanji yelled as he appeared in the middle of the group and kicked all the agents around him. "Itoryu, Sanbyakurokuju pound ho," Zoro yelled as he sent out a massive amount compressed air and knocked down a quarter of the agents. "Let's get in on this," Johnny yelled as he drew his new blade. "Fine," Yosaku replied as he jumped from the building and landed in between a group with Johnny landing behind him. "White stomach," Johnny yelled as his blade flashed white and he cut the man in front of him. "This blade is insanely sharp." "I know," Yosaku yelled back. "Black chest." Yosaku and Johnny continued to attack the group in front of them while Zoro and Sanji decimated the remaining forces until they noticed a shadow appear above them. That's too far, Zoro yelled as he appeared next to Johnny and grabbed the man. Way too far, Sanji yelled as he grabbed Yosaku and jumped away. Gomu Gomu no elephant gun, Luffy yelled as he bought his fist down in the middle of the town and knocked out everybody bar the Miss Monday, Miss Wednesday, Mr. 8 and Mr. 9. What the hell, the four yelled as they noticed Luffy standing in the middle of the smoke with a smile on his face. She's coming here, Luffy yelled with glee on his face, she's waiting for us. She is, Sanji questioned as he looked at Luffy, then I guess this is understandable. It is, Yosaku wondered as he looked at the three. What the hell happened here, a man questioned, did you see anything Miss Valentine? I did not Mr. 5 inches Miss Valentine replied in shock. Mr. 5 is a tall, dark-skinned man with black hair and short spiky dreadlocks. He wears a brown trench coat with a pink cravat and a pair of sunglasses. Like the other officers, his number is shown both on his clothing and his body. He has a 5 on his coat, this number is also tattooed on his right shoulder. Miss Valentine is a woman with short blonde hair and dark eyes. She wears a yellow and orange hat, as well as a yellow dress with a lemon-like pattern, lemon earrings, and white high-heeled shoes. She is carrying a bright green parasol with blue stripes. Thank God, Miss Monday stated, you're here to help. We're not, the man stated, there has been a leak and Mr. Zero's identity was found out. What? Mr. 8 yelled. There's a princess here, Miss Valentine stated, and we are here to kill her and her bodyguard. Shut up, Nami yelled as she bought her pole down on Miss Valentine's head and knocked the woman out. I agree, Usopp yelled as he slammed his hammer into Mr. 5's head. Who are you people? Miss Wednesday asked. We're the Straw Hat Pirates, Princess Vivi, Luffy stated as he noticed the shocked looks he got. We're going to Alabasta to kick Crocodile's ass. What? Vivi muttered, how did you know? He's a dick, Luffy replied, we need to leave soon we have a crew member waiting for me. Princess Vivi, Agaram said, go with them, I'll pose as you and escape. We'll go with him, Miss Monday and Mr. 9 stated, we'll cover your escape. Thank you, Vivi yelled, has anyone seen Karu? No, Agaram stated, but knowing that Ducky's already on the Straw Hat ship. I'll see you in Alabasta, Vivi promised as she watched the three walk off, I'm ready. Good, Luffy stated as he walked towards his ship. The crew and Vivi advanced towards the ship when they notice a woman sitting on the side. She is a tall, slender and athletic woman with black hair that hangs down to her lower back and is pulled back to reveal more of her forehead and ears. She has eyes, with dark, wide pupils, she has a long, thin and defined nose. The woman's limbs are very long, especially her legs. Her outfit consists of a long salmon sari-like skirt with a partially zipped navy blue leather vest with a V-neck line and a periwinkle rose printed on the left breast near the shoulder that exposed her stomach, sunglasses, pink high-heeled pumps, and a pink backpack. Miss All Sunday, Vivi yelled out in a panic. Don't worry Vivi, Luffy stated, Nico Robin. Monkey D. Luffy, Robin replied as she took in her captain, did you want me to join you? Are you ready to join me? Luffy asked, it means you can stop being a spy. It also means I can meet our doctor a lot sooner, Robin shot back, I'll join you. What the hell are you two talking about? Vivi questioned in frustration. She's my spy in Crocodile's organization, Luffy told her, I know what she did to you but please trust her, she's not going to hurt anybody. Fine, Vivi whispered, but I will be watching her. Chapter 13, Meeting the Giants. You guys do know who resides in Little Garden? Robin asked as the Going Merry approached the island. Of course, Luffy replied with a giant smile, and I can't wait to meet them. Who resides there? Johnny asked with a hint of fear in his voice. Giants, Robin replied with a smile, who have a bounty of 100 million belly on each of their heads. Giants, Yosaku yelled. That's what I said, Robin stated, who knows, maybe they like human flesh. WHWH what? Johnny yelled as he hugged Yosaku, we're staying with Big Bro Zoro. This woman's the real demon, Jin thought as he looked at Robin, I may have to ignore most of the things she says. She hasn't changed, Zoro thought with a smirk, she likes scaring people a bit too much. You'll be fine, Usopp told the pair, and if you're worried just remember what Zoro can do. Thanks, big bro Usopp, Johnny and Yosaku cried as they hugged the long-nosed sniper. We're here, Luffy announced as the Merry came to a stop, who's coming with me? I will Captain San, Robin said as she walked off the ship with him. Hold up, I'm coming as well, Vivi announced as she ran to catch up with them. I want to see one of these giants, Jin told the crew as he leapt off the ship. I'm coming with you, Usopp told him as he landed at the man-demon's side. I want to see one too, Kaya stated as she joined the two men. Well I'm staying on the ship, Nami yelled as she walked into the cabin. Want to hunt Moss Head? Sanji asked as he looked at the swordsman, I bet mine will be bigger than yours. No way, Zoro yelled as he leapt from the ship with Johnny and Yosaku following him. Wait for us big bro, the swordsman duo yelled in fright. With Luffy, Robin and Vivi. Luffy was watching out of the corner of his eyes as Robin and Vivi were walking beside him. He could feel the animosity rolling off of Vivi towards Robin and he understood why. This was the woman who was closest to Crocodile while the man tried to overthrow her country, but Luffy knew that Robin would make Vivi understand that she was a friend, that she was a Straw Hat. As the small group kept exploring the island, Luffy noticed the large dinosaurs from his previous lifetime. With a smile and a glance at Robin, Luffy jumped into the air and landed on top of the dinosaur. He looked around for the giant from last time. That's when he saw the giant Dory walking towards him. Dory is a well-built giant with a long beard. He generally dresses in a Viking attire with a helmet that goes over his eyes. Luffy smiled as the giant swung his giant sword and cut the dinosaur's head off. Luffy jumped into the air and landed on the ground as the giant noticed him and his two companions. "Gegya, what are three little humans doing on this island?" Dory asked. "This is where our log pose took us," Luffy told the giant. "We're just waiting for it to pick up the next island." "Come back to my camp then," Dory told them. "I'll tell you about the pose there." "Alright," Luffy yelled as Dory picked up the trio. "Are you sure this is alright, Luffy?" Vivi asked in a frightened tone. "We'll be fine," Luffy told her. "It's not like they're going to eat us," Robin chuckled as Vivi's skin turned pale. "Robin," Luffy whined, knowing exactly what she was doing. "I'm sure he won't eat us, and if he tries I'll just beat him up." "You think you can beat me up, brat?" Dory laughed. "Of course, I can. I'm going to be the king of the pirates one day," Luffy declared with a large grin. "You're a funny little brat," Dory laughed as he took the trio to his camp. With Nami. Nami was sitting on the Going Merry with a small smile on her face. She had really missed her friends in their time apart. She knew what was going to happen soon, so she walked into the cabin and grabbed her trust staff. She would be ready for the Baroque Works agents this time around. As she walked back out of the cabin, she noticed a large shadow covering the ship. She knew who it was and looked up to see Brigi the giant. Brigi is a giant who dresses in a Viking costume, which consists of a red overall with golden button straps, fur linings, a leather strap around his right shoulder, and another is a belt, yellow pants with black stripes and fur linings at the bottom, yellow shoes, and a red helmet with two horns. Brigi has a blonde beard shaped like an axe's blade, beady eyes, a wide grin, and a pig-like nose. "Gababa, little human, no need to worry," Brigi told her. "I'm Brigi and I'm just wondering if you have any alcohol." "I'm Nami, we have a coop of barrels of cooking alcohol," Nami told the giant. "I can give you some of that." "That sounds wonderful," Brigi replied as he watched Nami bring out barrels of alcohol for him. "Do you want to see my camp? I may as well feed you for what you've done." "I've got nothing else to do," Nami replied with a cat-like smirk. "With Usopp, Kaya and Jin. This island would be pretty good for training," Jin stated as he stood over a giant tiger with blood covering his tonfa. "I didn't expect the animals to be so big," Kaya replied as she looked over the tiger. "I guess this is what the giants must eat." "Watch out for the dinosaurs," Usopp warned them as the two looked at him shocked. "They exist on some islands, like this one." "Wonder if we'll see one," Kaya mused aloud. "Not for now," Usopp told her. "There's a camp." "This is huge," Jin exclaimed. "Wonder how strong a giant is." "Too strong for you little humans," Brigi told them. The three Straw Hats looked up and noticed the giant looming over them. It shocked them that the giant could sneak up on them, but they breathed a sigh of release as they noticed Nami waving at them from the giant's shoulder. "So, these are your friends," Brigi stated as he looked down at them. "Gababa, they're funny little ones." With Sanji. Sanji had large smile on his face as he lit a cigarette. In front of him was what he was really looking for in the jungle. He had been actively using his Kanbunshoku haki and was tracking the 4 Baroque Works agents that were on the island. As soon as he felt all 4 of them leave the spot they were in, he quickly went towards it. That was how he found an igloo that was made of wax. He entered it with the smile still on his face as he noticed the transponder snail that was sitting on the table in the middle of the room. This was how the crew would get their eternal pose to Alabasta. With Luffy, Robin and Vivi. "It takes how long?" Vivi screamed in shock. What the giant in front of her had just said had to be a mistake. "The log pose takes a year to set," Dory informed the trio, "and no human has ever lasted a year on this island. Why do you think there are so many bones around here?" Vivi looked down at the ground as tears began to spill from her eyes. She couldn't believe it. She had finally found a way to stop Crocodile from taking her country from her, only to be stopped by the log pose. She couldn't wait a full year to get back to her country. By then she was sure that her father would be dead, all the royal guards would be dead, and anyone who stood against Crocodile would be killed. It wasn't long before she fell to the ground and burst out in tears. She looked up when she felt a hand on her shoulder, only to see Robin, the last person she was expecting. "Have some faith in them," Robin told the girl. "We will be off the island in no time, one way or another." Vivi couldn't believe her ears. This woman was a former member of Baroque Works, even if it was only as a spy. If she had so much trust in them, maybe she should as well. Maybe there was a way to get off this island before the year was up. She just had to trust a pirate crew. With Usopp, Nami, Kaya and Jin. "You've been here how long?" Kaya yelled in surprise. "I've been fighting Dory here for 100 years, the giant informed them and noticed their shocked looks. "Gababa, don't worry, it is only a small part of a giant's lifespan." True warriors, Usopp muttered. It didn't matter if this was his second time hearing this conversation, but the giant still inspired him. That sounds like something you'd like, Usopp-kun, Kaya said as she learned against a long-nosed warrior. That little human, Brigitte smiled as he looked down. What's your dream? I dream to be a brave warrior of the sea, Usopp exclaimed to the world. I'm going to help my captain to become the king of the pirates. That's quite a dream you have, Brigitte stated as his smile got larger. When you reach the new world, go to Elbaf, there are plenty of brave warriors that you could meet there. Then that's what I'll do, Usopp replied with a large smirk. I'm going to Elbaf then. Gababa, you're going to be a brave warrior indeed, Brigitte stated as he looked down at the long-nosed sniper. That was when the volcano went off on the island, shocking all the straw hats that were there for the first time. Brigitte stood up with a grin as he picked up his battle axe. The volcano was the cue for the fight to start. That is what the giants had told the pirates in their camps, and the straw hats were about to witness a battle between two giants. Chapter 14, The Candle Man. Zoro was walking through the jungle shaking his head in disbelief. He couldn't believe Johnny and Yosaku had managed to get themselves lost. He hadn't seen them for a while and was contemplating on using his haki to find them when a triceratops appeared in front of him. Those two will be fine alone, Zoro thought aloud as he drew all three of his sword. This dinosaur doesn't stand a chance. With Johnny and Yosaku. Johnny and Yosaku were feeling two emotions pretty strong right now. The first was fear. The jungle was full of vicious animal that they didn't run into. The second was anger. They were in front of Zoro, they were in the lead, and when they turned around he was gone. He was following the pair and he somehow got lost. That was something they couldn't believe. Oh, what do we have here? A voice cut thought the forest. You must be from that Straw Hat crew, Gain. Who's there? Yosaku yelled as he went back to back with Johnny and both of them drew their swords. Come out. I don't have to, the voice stated as wax shot up out of the dirt and surround the two. You're already captured, Gain. The man that walked out of the forest was average sized and had a rather frail looking body. He had strange black hair that was formed into a three and wore glasses. He had a log pose on his left hand. He wore a blue striped vest. He wears light brown long pants. You're one of them, Yosaku stuttered out. Baroque works. And you will help set the trap, Gain, Mr. 3 replied as Yosaku and Johnny's worlds went black. Now for the princess, Gain. Camp Luffy. Luffy watched as Robin was slowly turning Vivi's attitude around towards her, mostly by telling her that how she had helped her find out Mr. Zero's true identity. Luffy could tell that Vivi didn't hate Robin as much as she did when both of them got on the going merry. He smiled as he watched the giants finish their battle and make their way back to their respective camps. I'm guessing it was the rest of your crew that gave Brigitte third alcohol, Dory asked as he sat down with a barrel of alcohol in his hand. Yeah, Luffy told him as he started to stretch his Kanbunshoku haki across the island. He could feel the presence of the 4 Baroque Works agents working their way across the island. He could feel Mr. 3 making his way towards his camp. The thing that threw Luffy for a loop was that Johnny and Yosaku were near Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. Luffy's eyes widened as he remembered what happened last time. He looked at Dory and saw the man about to drink the alcohol before arms sprouted from throat and took the barrel off him. What are you doing? The giant roared as he jumped to his feet. Saving your life, Robin replied with a small smile. Isn't that right, Luffy-san? So, you can feel them too, Luffy stated as he rose to his feet. They've got Johnny and Yosaku. Who are you talking about? The giant asked as he looked at the strange humans with confusion. Mr. 3, Miss Goldenweek, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are all on the island, Luffy stated. They belong to a bounty hunting agency that are after my crew. They could be here for me and Brigitte as well, Dory told them. We had a bounty of 100 million belly from 100 years ago. What are we going to do? Vivi asked with a small amount of fear. Can you beat them all? Easily, Luffy replied with a smile, but it looked like our first mate has realized that his friends aren't just missing. Oh, they're in trouble then, Robin chuckled. I guess we should get rid of this barrel. Vivi watched in fascination as the arms that were still sprouted from Dory's neck launched the barrel across the clearing. Her eyes widened along with Dory's as the barrel hit the ground and exploded, showing Dory's fate if he took a drink. The giant held his stomach as he smiled at the small group, the 3 little humans who just saved his life. As he went to express his gratitude, the volcano behind him exploded, signaling the beginning of his fight. Better get going, Luffy told him. Don't worry about the others, my crew will deal with them. Luffy watched as the giant left the clearing and then he turned away and shot into the forest. These Baroque Works agents were going to pay for what they were doing. He could feel that Nami, Usopp and Kaya were heading in the same direction as he was, and that Zoro was just about to arrive. With Zoro, the green-haired swordsman was pissed, not only at himself for not realizing that his friends were captured but at the people who caught them. He was running through the forest with Wado Ikimonji in his hand and was making his own path but caving a line of trees out of the way. Big brother, Zoro heard as he burst into a clearing. Help us. Sorry, but no one can help you now, Gain, Mr. 3 stated as he walked out of the forest with the other Baroque Works agents walking behind him. No one can cut my wax, Gain. Zoro ignored the weird-haired agent continued to talk. He walked towards where Johnny and Yosaku were trapped as a small smirk graced his face. This was a place he received a scar in his previous life, now he was going to make sure that didn't happen. He raised his sword and coated it in Busoshoku Haki and began to bring it down. Hiryu can, Zoro muttered as he brought his sword down into and through the wax. Mr. Three's eyes widened in shock as he watched the swordsman cleanly carve through his weak between their two captives. His eyes nearly fell out when the wax caught fire and burned away as the man pulled his crewmates from the fire. He didn't know much about the man in front of him, but he could already tell that whatever he was, it was clear he was some sort of monster. Monster, Miss Goldenweek whispered in fear, we have to get away from him. I wouldn't worry about me. Zoro spat at them as a menacing grin appeared on his face, that one over there is the biggest problem. The four Baroque Works agents slowly turned around only to start sweating as an insane pressure began to radiate from the Straw Hat's captain. Miss Valentine was the first to try and make an exit to the left of the clearing, while Mr. Five went to the right. The bomb man was repelled backwards by a hammer wielded by a long-nosed man and the Kilo woman was sent flying back by an orange-haired woman wielding a pole. Miss Goldenweek tried to sneak out the back of the clearing only to run into a kind-looking woman. I'm guessing you're the cause of this, Luffy asked as he glared at Mr. 3, the rest of my crew will beat the other agents but you're mine. You think you can beat me, Gain? Mr. 3 laughed, I'll show you the truth of this world. Mr. 3 began to walk forwards only for Luffy to appear right in front of him and delivered a brutal blow to the man's stomach. Mr. 3 was launched backward and hit the ground breaking the earth under him. Luffy stood where he was frowning at the man, he was disappointed that this man was so weak compared to what he would be and impelled down. I guess I'll have to go all out, Mr. 3 said seriously, Candle Champion. Luffy smiled a little as he watched the wax wrap around Mr. 3's body and begin to form wax armor. Soon his whole body was thickly covered with the wax and he started to look like a robot. Wonder how hard it will be to break, Luffy asked Mr. 3 as he held his right arm out. I guess I'll show you a little bit of my power, Gear Second. What's happening to your arm? Mr. 3 asked in confusion as he watched the boy's arm start to turn red and steam started to come from it. Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk, Luffy screamed as he ran forward and threw his hand back. Luffy appeared in front of Mr. 3 with Busoshoku Haki coating his now stretched out arm. He threw his shoulder forward and his hand caught fire. He drove his fist into Mr. 3's stomach and instantly liquidated the wax surrounding the Baroque Works agent. Luffy watched as the man was sent flying out of the clearing knocked out and with that he sat down and watched the ending of the other fights. With Usopp, the long-nosed sniper was looking at the bomb man with a small smirk on his face. He remembered this man from his previous life and how badly this man had hurt him. He quickly replaced his hammer with his Ginga Pachinko and loaded his weapon. He smiled fully as he pulled back his slingshot and launched his pallet at the Baroque Works agent. Kemari Boshi, Usopp yelled as the pallet hit the ground in front of and exploded covering the area with smoke. He quickly moved from where he was standing and let him feel Mr. 5 with his Kanbunshoku Haki. As soon as he located the man he reached into his pouch and pulled out a string of shuriken. With a yell of shuriken Ryusei gun Usopp shot the shuriken at Mr. 5 and hit him. Usopp could hear the grunt of pain and grind a little as he pulled out a green pallet. Usopp shot his Sakuretsu Sabaton Boshi at Mr. 5 and heard it explode and shower the man in quills and felt him drop to the ground. As the smoke cleared Usopp looked down and saw the bomb man on the ground bleed and unconscious. With Nami was once again cursing herself. She had already learned how to grow the weather eggs that were needed for her clean attack, but she still needed to get the dials from Skypiea to perfect it. All she could rely on was her Kanbunshoku Haki and her proficiency with her staff. She was continuously sidestepping the Kilo woman who was dropping from the sky. The blonde Baroque Works agent was mocking her continuously as she kept trying to squash the navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates. The orange-haired pirate was too quick for her attacks, but she knew all it would take is one hit and she would be down. As the umbrella-wielding leapt into the air one more time and quickly raised her weight to 1,000 kilos as she plummeted into the ground she realized she had made a mistake. Nami had quickly adjusted herself and allowed Miss Valentine to fall into the ground next to her as she brought her staff up and hit the woman in the head. Miss Valentine completely slumped into the ground as Nami continued to slam her staff into the back of the woman's head to make sure that she was knocked out. After that Nami fell to the ground and broke out into laughter. Maybe she didn't need to rely on her perfect clean attack for now. With Kaya, the blonde-haired woman of the Straw Hat Pirates had quickly jumped back from the small woman of Baroque Works. She had quickly knocked one of her arrows and aimed at the woman. This was one of the arrows that Usopp had made for her. As she shot it just in front of the small girl she smiled as smoke covered the woman. She quickly placed another of her arrows and shot it at the agent only to miss. It took her 3 more shots before a scream of pain came out of the smoke and soon it went quiet. That was the last arrow that Usopp had created with her, one that had a small amount of sleep smoke that would knock out her opponent. Kaya smiled as the smoke cleared and revealed her opponent sleeping on the ground. She needed the cover of the smoke as she still wasn't the best with her bow and she didn't know what Miss Goldenweek abilities were. A blush adorned her face as she felt Usopp grasp her shoulder and smiled at her while he congratulated his crewmate. With Sanji, Ring 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 was heard as a blonde-haired man sat in a wax igloo drinking tea. The man smiled as he reached down and picked up the den den mushi. Hello, this is the shitty restaurant, what do you want to order? Sanji asked with a grin. Stop playing, you idiot, a voice replied in anger, why didn't you send me a report? Report? Sanji asked, who are you? It's me, Mr. 0 Inches, the man replied, it's already been quite some time since I sent you your orders and I want to know what's your status. Yes, I've carried out my mission, Sanji replied as he remembered his conversation from in his last lifetime. Princess Vivi and the Straw Hats are eliminated, and you don't have anything to worry about. Good work, Mr. 0 replied, the Unluckies are heading your way right now and once they confirm your mission's success they will give you a package. A package? Sanji asked. Yes, an external log post to Alabasta, Mr. 0 told him. Oh shit, Sanji muttered as he looked up and noticed the Unluckies. Within a moment the suited pirate was on his feet and delivering kicks to the two animals. In an instant both of them were knocked out and on the floor. Sanji smiled as he picked up the log pose and heard Mr. 0 yelling through the den den mushi. What happened? Mr. 0 asked in frustration. Nothing to worry about, it seems one of those Straw Hats were playing dead and attacked me, Sanji told Mr. 0. One of them was alive, Mr. 0 stated, I thought you told me they were all dead. I thought I had, but one of them were more stubborn than I thought, Sanji replied with a smile. So, you gave me a false report at the time, Mr. 0 said. I guess that can be said, but I have dealt with them, Sanji told him, there's nothing to worry about. Alright, head back to Alabasta, this will be the last time we talk over the den den mushi, Mr. 0 stated as he hung up the phone. Sanji stood up with a smile as he left the igloo and headed back towards where he knew his crewmates were waiting. He soon entered the clearing with a cigarette in his mouth and noticed that they were once more partying after a battle. I guess I'll tell them tomorrow, Sanji said with a smile. Nami Swan, Vivi Swan, Robin Swan. Chapter 15, The Kingdom of Drum. Luffy was sitting on the figurehead of the Going Merry as he remembered leave the island. It was similar to his previous lifetime, but it was still fun. They had partied with the two giants throughout the night and Sanji had informed them the next day that he had gotten an external post to Alabasta. They had left the island and followed the giant's instructions and once again smiled as he remembered getting launched out of the back of the giant goldfish, but there was still something wrong. It had been a few hours since the Straw Hats had left Little Garden and Luffy was cursing himself once again. He noticed it after the party, somehow it had happened again. Nami was bitten and she was obviously sick. He couldn't believe that it happened a second time. They were careful on the island but had somehow left with a sick navigator. It's time to train properly, Luffy announced as he looked at his crew. We need to be ready to fight against one of the Shichibukai. How? Johnny asked. With Haki, Luffy told them. Sanji. Alright, there is 3 different types of Haki, Sanji told them. Kanbunshoku Haki, which grants users a sixth sense of the world around them and limited precognitive abilities. Busoshoku Haki, which allows the user to use their spirit as armor to defend against attacks or to make their own attacks more potent. And Haoshoku Haki, a rare type of Haki only 1 in a million can use, which grants the user the ability to overpower the will of others. Sanji and Zoro will train you, Luffy told them. I'll watch for islands or ships. 1 hour later. It wasn't until an hour later that something happened, something that Luffy hated to see. Nami had collapsed. Luffy rushed to his navigator's side as the crew members gasped in shock. He put his hand to her forehead and pulled it back as he felt the heat. We have to find here a doctor, Luffy stated as he looked at Vivi. Is this okay with you? Of course, Vivi stated as she watched Luffy pick up Nami and carry her to her bed. We have to find an island. Thank you, Luffy muttered as he placed Nami into her bed. Kaya, Robin, follow me. Sanji, you can come too. The rest of you take up positions so we can look for an island. Luffy sat next to Nami with a worried look on his face as Kaya put a wee cloth on her forehead and Sanji began to prepare food for her. Vivi had taken the log pose off her wrist and was using her limited navigation skills to help out the crew. Usopp was in the crow's nest looking for Drum Island and using his Haki to help. Guy, we have a guy standing on the water in front of us, Usopp yelled as his eyes zeroed in on the man seemingly standing on the water. Be ready, Luffy warned as he walked out of Nami's room. There's more to this than we can see. Do you know where a doctor is? Vivi yelled from the deck of the Going Merry. A doctor? The man questioned. What for? Our friend, Vivi yelled at him. She's sick. We may if you have an external pose for Drum Kingdom, the man replied before he felt a crushing pressure on him. Answer her, Luffy growled out. Water bulged under the man as a submarine-like ship rose from the water and opened up revealing a small army. Chess, have you found a way back to my kingdom? A man with a large iron-plated mouth asked the strange man on the top of the submarine. The stranger is a man who is a bit taller than average. He has wavy lips and a sad expression. He wears a checkered jester-like green-blue costume with purple lining at the end of the sleeves, a white winter cape with purple lining, that he ties against his chest, and gray buttons, with a light brown bow and a bag of arrows on his back. He has dark green pants, and blue shoes with white buckles. Not yet, King Wapple, Chess replied to the strange-looking man. Wapol is an overweight man with an unusual appearance. He has dark violet hair and a cylinder-shaped jaw made up of tin plates. He dresses in tin plate armor and a hooded cape made from white waki skin. He was also wearing brown thick gloves. He spotted a pair of purple and orange woolen shorts and a brown belt around his waist and a pair of thick short boots. Do you think they have won? Wapol asked as he jumped onto the Going Merry. Do you have a log pose or eternal pose to Drum Kingdom? Get off my ship, Luffy stated in an agitated tone, or I'll make you. That's no way to talk a king, Wapol shot back as he walked towards the rails on the ship. Just for that I'll take some wood. I don't think so, Luffy growled as he glared at the man. Wapol opened his mouth to reply but closed it quickly when he realized that the long-nosed crew member had appeared in front of him with a slingshot draw. A man was twirling a pair of tonfas as he glared at him. Two men had drawn swords and had them at his throat. The straw hat wearing boy just stood there a glare and a blonde man wearing a suit and a green-haired man were standing in front of his army. Kill them, Wapol yelled in fear. Zoro, Sanji, stop them, Luffy ordered. Wapol watched in terror as the blonde-haired man seemed to disappear in a blur and started to kick the guns out of his men's hand. He turned his head slightly and noticed the green-haired man cutting through the guns that his men held. With a deep gulp the iron-mouthed man looked at the straw hat-wearing boy and flinched a smile on his face. Bye, Luffy laughed as he punched Wapol off his ship. Kuromarimo, we have to get the king, Chess yelled to the man near him. Kuromarimo sports a long, orange cloak, with white lining, and black afros at each end, and white afros hanging from the front. He wears gloves that cover all fingers but his thumb and resemble an afro. He has a large black afro on his head, and 3 small ones on his beard. He is of medium height and normal weight. He wears a shirt that's orange in the middle and white on the sides with light yellow buttons, along with orange shorts. He has hairy legs, and black boots with white laces. Let's go, Kuromarimo yelled back as he jumped back onto their ship. Luffy watched as the king's men jumped back onto their own ship and set off in the direction that their king was sent flying in. He smirked as the ship left his eyesight and turned back to his crew. He noticed the smile on Usopp's face as the sniper gave him a small nod. Which way? Luffy asked. He's that way, Usopp replied, we should be there soon. Good, Luffy said, stay locked on if you can. Of course, I can, Usopp replied with a smile, they don't call me God Usopp for nothing. Later that day, we need to be careful, Luffy warned as he looked at his crew, not all islands welcome pirates. Got it, Jin replied. The Going Merry was slowly sailing into port as Luffy stood on deck and looked at the island. He felt a small smile appear on his face as he thought about his doctor and friend. He was ready to meet Chopper again. He felt the smile disappear as he looked near the docks and noticed the small band of gun-wielding villages glaring at them. Leave, the largest man demanded. We can't, Luffy replied, we need to find a doctor. Dalton said leave, a villager yelled as he raised his rifle. Dalton is an imposing man, with slicked black hair and a goatee. He wears a long, white fur-lined green tunic and has armor plates on his arms. These plates are retained on his 4 legs when assuming his full bison form. He covers his head with a green and white fur-lined hat, equipped with ear flaps against the intense cold, and he wears long boots. He carries a weapon of choice, an extra-large spade, in a sheath that hangs on his back. Please hear us out, Vivi yelled as she stepped forward, we need your help. Stay there, another villager yelled as his rifle fired at Vivi. No, Luffy yelled as he appeared in front of Vivi and protected her from the bullet, please we need your help. Dalton watched in shock as the straw hat-wearing boy protected the blue-haired girl from the bullet. He put his weapon on his back as he ordered the villagers to do the same. You can come on the island, Dalton told Luffy much to the shock of the villagers, I'll take you. Thank you, Luffy told him, we just need a doctor. Luffy went back with Vivi and grabbed Nami from her bed. Zoro decided to stay on the ship with Johnny and Yosaku to help the pair train a bit more, as the rest of the crew got off the Going Merry and set out with Luffy. As they were walking to Dalton's house the man filled them in on the history of the island. Their former king Wapol had taken the 20 best doctors from the village and exiled the rest of them. 2 doctors stayed behind to help everyone. One was a former criminal that did more harm than good and the other was a great doctor who took whatever she wanted. Wapol had sent out a rumor that the 20 doctors were sick and dying. The man had arrived at the castle to help the doctors only to find out the lie. The man just laughed as he sat down and begun to drink sake before he blew himself up. The woman was called Dr. Kurha and she still worked to this day. She had taken the castle after Wapol had fled the country when a pirate crew attacked. Blackbeard had attacked months ago and began to lay waste to the kingdom. After Wapol fled a monster appeared and started to protect the villages. The crew fought the monster and injured him before they fled the country and the monster fled to the wilderness. Luffy's heart started to beat harder when he heard about Blackbeard and the story about the monster didn't help. He couldn't remember running into such a thing here in his previous lifetime, but he did know that a certain someone on this island could change into one at will before they were sent back. The group soon arrived at Dalton's house as he began to tell them that the only doctor in the country now lived in the castle on the mountains. She supposable came down to the mountain at will but wasn't due for some time. They would have to get up the mountain if they wanted to meet her. Sanji, Luffy said as he turned to the man, are you ready? Of course, Captain, Sanji replied as he placed a smoke in his mouth, let's go. Dalton followed the strange straw hat wearing boy and the blonde man outside of his house and watched as they began to walk in the air before they picked up speed. He watched as the boys left his sight and continued to head for the mountains that the castle rested upon. He let a small smile make its way onto his face before he heard a village person run towards him while heavily sucking in his breath. Dalton, he's back, the man screamed, Wapol has returned. Where? Dalton asked as he placed his hand on his weapon, where is he? Bighorn, the man told him, he'll be in Bighorn. The rest of the crew watched as the man began to shift into a bison and picked up speed. He took off in the direction they believed that Bighorn was in as Sanji let out a sigh. Let's go, Jin told them, that man had a lot of people behind him, so Dalton may need our help. With Zoro, Johnny and Yosaku. Zoro watched as the swordsman duo dueled in front of him, he was yelling out orders and suggestions as the two continued to clash blades. The pair were nowhere near the level need to use haki yet, so Zoro was helping them increase their physical attributes in the hope that they may be strong enough to team up and be at the level he was at this time in his previous life. With Luffy, Sanji and Nami. Luffy and Sanji landed on the top of the mountains and came in sight of two figures standing there looking at them. As he saw the smaller figure, Luffy smiled and also felt an increase in anger. It seems his crewmate was hurt in his fight. The woman was looking at him warily as he smiled at her and the reindeer next to her. The woman looked old, but despite her exceptionally advanced age and apart from her well-wrinkled face, Kurha is a slender woman in her prime. Dr. Kurha dresses in a style more suited to women 1/7 her age. This includes a navel ring, a shirt that bears her midriff, a purple blazer and purple low-riding pants. She has a pair of small sunglasses that, when they're not over her eyes, she wears on her forehead even when she's using glasses. She wears bracelets and rings on her left hand. The other figure was a reindeer that wore a large pale red top hat with a sideways medical cross and had his left antler braced at the base by a metal plate. The reindeer was wearing a pair of maroon shorts and a blue backpack that had the same medical cross as his hat. He also had a remarkably blue nose. He also had a bandaged body and legs, he also had the right side of his face covered in bandages. Dr. Kurha, Luffy asked as the woman glared at him. What are you doing in my castle? The woman replied with a glare. I have someone I need you to heal. Luffy replied, she's really sick and I need your help. I guess you wouldn't have come here if she wasn't, the doctor replied, Chopper, see to her. Luffy smiled as Chopper shifted into his heavy point and took Nami carefully from his arm and into the castle. Luffy stood across from Dr. Kurha as she stared at him, the boy hadn't flinched when Chopper changed forms and had calmly handed over the girl. Let's talk fees, Dr. Kurha said as she leads the two straw hats inside. With Usopp, Jin, Kaya, Vivi and Robin. The group had rushed after Dalton as he left their sight. They soon arrived in the town of Bighorn and noticed a large group of villagers screaming. They pushed through and saw the former king and his small army standing over Dalton's bleeding body. The king looked at them and ordered his men to attack as he, Chess and Kuromarimo fled. Dos Fleur, Robin muttered as two arms started to appear on the shoulders and started to bend them backwards, clutch. Saripu arrow, Kaya yelled as she knocked an arrow and shot it in front of the men. As soon as the arrow hit the ground it exploded and sleeping powder cover a 5-meter radius. Akuma no Dansu, Jin shouted as the villages watched his horrifying dance that knocked out the soldiers in one blow. Sanrin Kayaku Boshi, Usopp yelled as he shot out his triple gunpowder star. The villagers watched in shock and fear as the pirates teared through the soldiers in front of them. By the end of their attack the men were passed out on the ground and most of them were bleeding. The blonde-haired woman in the crew rushed to Dalton as she started to inspect his wounds. This man needs a doctor, Kaya yelled, does anyone here know how we can get him one? We'll help, a man in pink said as he stepped through the chaos. The 20 doctors, the villagers muttered in shock. Let us help, another doctor said as he walked forwards, it's the least we can do. With Luffy, Sanji, Nami and Chopper. Nami's eyes fluttered open and took in a familiar sight, Chopper was standing over her and making sure she was okay. She could hear Luffy and Sanji talking as she stood up and she finally noticed the bandages that covered Chopper's body. What happened to you? Nami asked in shock. He tried to take on the Blackbeard pirates, Luffy told her with pride and anger in his tone, Blackbeard left him with those wounds. That doesn't matter, Chopper told her, you'll be fine soon, Nami. Thank you, Chopper, Nami stated as the reindeer went stiff, what's wrong? Wapol's here, Chopper told them. Then let's go deal with it, Luffy stated as he stood up with Sanji. The trio walked outside and looked at the former king as he yelled at Dr. Kurha. Sanji and Luffy stepped in front of her as the king's knees started to shake and his two subordinates stepped in front of him. Chess, Kuromarimo, take them out, Wapol ordered in fear. The two subordinates rushed towards the straw hat wearing pirate but were stopped by Sanji and Chopper and his heavy point. Chess's eyes opened in shock as he realized that he knew this strange beast. Sanji jumped back from Kuromarimo and watched as the man smirked evilly at him. He remembered the battle from his previous life and smirked at the man. Diable Hambi, Sanji muttered as his foot caught fire, Premier Hachi's. Sanji jumped forwards as the man tried to run from him, he slammed his feet into the man's stomach as his left foot also caught on fire. Wapple's man fell to the ground as his stomach revealed burn marks and the man passed out from the pain. Sanji stood over his body and took out a cigarette and lit it up as he placed it in his mouth. Kokute Roseo, Chopper yelled as he rushed forward and slammed his hands into chest, hitting him with such force that he left his hoof imprints on his chest and knocked the man out. What? Wapple muttered in shock as his top men were taken out so easily. I guess that just leaves you, Luffy stated as he watched Nami run past the man. No, leave me alone, the former king yelled as his arms turned into cannons. Bye, Luffy yelled as he rushed forwards, Gomu Gomu no bazooka. Dr. Kurha watched in shock as the young man threw his hands back and they stretched out, he forced them forwards and slammed them into Wapple's body and sent the man flying off the island. She watched closely as the boy walked over to his other crewmate and Chopper and started to talk with them as if they had known each other for a long time. He's going with you, isn't he? Dr. Kurha asked as she turned around and saw Nami. I hope that's not a problem, Nami replied, and if it is I can make a trade. And what would I trade? Dr. Kurha asked as Nami pulled a key from her pants. The armory key, Nami told her as the doctor's eyes widened. There's no stopping him, Dr. Kurha said to herself, if he wants to go then he can. The townspeople arrived at the top of the mountain and spotted Chopper soon after and instantly shouted monster as they drew their rifles and began to shoot. The reindeer's eyes widened in shock as the bullets closed in on him before the straw hat wearing pirate appeared in front of him and took the bullets, causing them to ricochet off him and miss. Stop! Luffy yelled, Chopper is a hero. He's a monster, a villager yelled as Dalton pushed his way through the crowd. He's no monster, Dalton told the crowd, he's more human than most of us. Wapple's gone, Luffy told him as he looked at the man, your kingdom is free. Thank you, Dalton replied as he bowed in front of him, I'll do anything to repay you. Meat and alcohol, Luffy replied as the man looked at him in confusion, it's time for a party. He never changes, Nami muttered with a small smile. Early the next day, Chopper smiled as he ran from doctoring with the rest of the crew behind him, he knew this time that she was faking her anger, but he still felt happy. The woman taught him everything he needed to know to make sure he could look after his crew. The crew arrived on their ship and set sail as they heard the cannons going off behind them. He turned around with a smile on his face and tears flowing as he saw the cherry blossoms covering the island. Later with Dr. Kurha and Dalton. This kingdom is going to be forever different, Dr. Kurha told Dalton, and it's time for you to take your place as king. I can't be king, the man replied, this village needs me as a protector and I've already failed that. Dalton, Dr. Kurha, a man yelled as he ran towards them, I forgot something that you need to know. What is it? The man asked as he was past a poster, Monkey D. Luffy, wanted dead or alive for 100 million belly. Another D, huh, Dr. Kurha muttered as Dalton looked at her. That's not all, the man said, one of Whitebeard's pirate was here and asked if we ever stopped Luffy to tell him to meet him on Alabasta. What's a Whitebeard pirate want with a rookie? Dalton muttered. Have you ever heard of the Will of D? Kurha asked Dalton. Will of D? Dalton asked in confusion. I didn't think so, Kurha replied, it seems my student has decided to travel with a very dangerous man, he reminds me of Galdi. Roger. Don't you mean Gold Roger? Dalton questioned. Is that what they are calling him today? Kurha muttered as she looked out at the sea. With the straw hats. So, once we arrive on Alabasta we head straight for the rebel base, Vivi told them all, this would be the easiest way to end the war. What if Crocodile has men inside the rebels? Robin asked as she looked at Vivi, I propose some of us go after the rebel and the rest go after Crocodile. That sounds good, Luffy told her as he looked at Vivi, but we need to stay together for now, we'll change our plan if we get more detail but we should find the rebels so we can warn them at least and then take the fight to Crocodile. The crew nodded their head in agreement as a new seagull landed on the deck. Nami quickly paid the bird as she started to read the newspaper and new bounty list. A smile covered her face as she noticed a familiar face she didn't remember reading about so early last time. Guys, guys got a bounty, Nami told them as she showed them a picture of Law with a bounty for 80 million belly under it. Chapter 16, The Meeting to Change One's Fate. The crew had been sailing for 5 days now, it was much livelier with the little reindeer on board. He was recently running a physical on all of the crew members as Sanji panicked about the lack of food they had, or in his words, they had no food. Sanji had quickly forgotten what happened in the previous timeline and quickly gave a bucket of bait to Usopp, Chopper and Luffy to fish with. Unfortunately, Luffy thought the bait looked a bit too tasty and with one quickly swallow, it was gone. Now they had no bait, but that didn't stop the trio as they came up with a genius idea. They had Karu hanging over the side of the ship as he quacked at the trio. They were hoping to catch a large fish with the duck. While this was going on, Zoro was sparring with Johnny and Yosaku, Kaya with Robin reading, Jin was lifting weight and watching the swordsman spar, Sanji was swooning over her and Nami was making sure that the Going Merry stayed on course. Hey guys, Vivi said as she walked up on the trio, have any of you seen Karu? He was just here. I have no idea, Usopp lied as Chopper's lips pushed out in stifled laughter. Now, why don't I believe that, Vivi questioned as she stared at them and then looked at the front of the ship. Nami, what's up with this fog? Don't worry about it, the Straw Hat Navigator replied, this is just a hot spot. As the Going Merry sailed through the fog-riddled hot spot, the trio kept their fishing rods over the side with Karu still quacking at them. Vivi had luckily stopped questioning them as Karu struggled against their fishing line. Whilst sailing through the hot spot, the trio felt a significant weight attach itself to Karu and that caused Luffy to break out into a smile. He knew exactly who they had caught. We've caught something, Usopp shouted with a large smile on his face. Good job, Luffy yelled back as he and Chopper began to help Usopp pull up Karu and whatever was attached to it. The trio broke out into laughter as they finally pulled up the irritated Karu and noticed a strange person holding onto the oversized duck. The person is a relatively tall male cross-dresser who wears flamboyant ballet clothes with a swan theme. He dresses in a pink overcoat and blue medieval clothes. He wears heavy makeup and sports a distinct wide grin. His legs, being exposed, are hairy. Underneath these clothes, his physique is fairly muscular. The number 2 is seen in the form of his swans, which are posed into a shape resembling the number 2. The back of his overcoat bears the kanji for Bon Festival. Who the hell are you? The person yelled as they let go of Karu. Who the hell are you? Luffy, Chopper and Usopp yelled as Robin snuck into the kitchen. Oh no, how'd I get stuck on this huge duck? The man yelled as he conveniently ignored the question. What the hell are you doing here? Usopp yelled as the shocked man jumped backwards and into the water. The trio looked over the edge of the Going Merry as the rest of the crew on deck ran across to them. Chopper jumped in the water to save the strange man only to realize that he couldn't swim. So, with a grunt the green-haired swordsman jumped into the water below and grabbed the sinking people. As he climbed back on deck he dropped the strange man and placed Chopper on his feet. Thank you so much, you're all swanderful people, the man told them as he bowed down. Pirates that I don't even know saved my life, I will never forget this, but might I have a cup of soup? No, we have no food and we're hungry as well, the crew standing on the deck yelled out. Oh, the man sighed as he noticed Vivi standing near the entrance to the kitchen. Well, aren't you just a cutie, I'd just gobble you right up. Ah, Vivi sighed in disgust, what a weirdo. Shishishishi, so you're an anchor as well, Luffy laughed as he looked at the strange man. Yes, I ate one of the devil fruits, the man told them. Really, what kind of devil fruit? Usopp asked as he looked the man over. Well, I must wait for my ship to come back anyway, so I may as well put on a show for you guys, the man stated with a cocky smirk, this is my devil fruit power. The man launched forwards at Luffy and slammed his hand into the Straw Hat Boy's head, sending it flying backwards and into the kitchen wall behind them. Johnny and Yosaku drew their blades and began to charge the strange man before they heard a very familiar voice, coming from an unusual place. Wait, I just told you that I'd show you my power, the man said with Luffy's voice and face, I did tell you guys that this is my show. That's me, Luffy muttered as his head flung back to normal. So that's your ability, Zoro muttered with a smirk as Johnny and Yosaku sheathed their blades, but if you ever do that to one of my crewmates I'll really make you regret that. Okay, the man said quickly as he started to sweat, if I touch my right hand I can imitate the person and if I touch my left hand I can go back to my normal appearance, this is the power that the main no mi grants me. Even the voice is the same, Jin said in shock as he looked at the strange man, he got the physique and everything down as well. Of course, it is, although it's not necessary for me to punch someone for it to work, the man informed them, I can just touch someone with my right hand to imitate them. The man walked through the group of Straw Hats, minus Sanji, Vivi and Robin, and touched them all on the face with his right hand. The crew watched in awe, glee and shock as the man showed how he could imitate their voices and their body until he reached Nami. He touched the orange-haired navigator on the face and imitated her down to a T. I can get over part down, he said as Nami as he pulled his shirt up and revealed Nami's chest to the entire crew, much to the anger of one woman. Stop that, Nami yelled in aggravation as she slammed her fist into the man's head. Ouch, that hurt, the man cried as he held his head, I'm sorry, but that's all that I can show you. You're awesome, Luffy, Usopp, Chopper, Johnny and Yosaku shouted, why don't you do some more? I guess I can, the man cried as he started to do ballerina spins. He was quick to change his mind, Zoro muttered with a small smirk as Jin nodded. I've also got perfect memory, the man informed them as he started to change through different faces, every face that I ever touch, I will never forget. What? Vivi whispered in shock and fear as she saw her father's face. That's a troubling power, Jin whispered to Zoro. It's ridiculous, the swordsman replied with a shake of his head. There's a ship coming this way, Nami shouted as she pointed out to it, is that yours? Oh me, is it time to leave already? The man said in sudden sadness, do not be sad my babies, separation is inevitable so never forget me. Bye, the crew yelled as they watched the man jump onto his ship. Length of time means nothing to a true friendship, the man cried as he jumped back onto his ship. We'll see you again, Usopp yelled. Let's go lovies, the man yelled to his crew. Yes sir, Mr. 2 Bon Clay-sama, his crew yelled back. The crew looked on in shock as Mr. 2 sailed away, their jaws were touching the ground as they watched a man that would want to kill them if he truly knew who they were. The crew slowly turned around as the ship left their sight and noticed a visibly pale Vivi. That was Mr. 2 Inches, Vivi said in shock and fear. Didn't you recognize him? Luffy asked while looking at the princess. No, I've never met Mr. 2 or the Mr. 1 pair, Vivi told them, but I did hear rumors about him. They said he was a huge Okama, talked like a Okama, wore a swam coat that had Okama way on the back. You should have noticed, Zoro told her as the rest of the crew looked at her in shock and disbelief. I know, but there is also a huge problem, Vivi stated as she looked at as he was changing through the faces he has copied, he revealed that he had copied my father's face. He could do quite a bit of damage to Alabasta if he can transform into the king, Robin said as she walked out of the kitchen. He could also transform into us, once he realizes we are enemies, Zoro stated with a small frown. He will be a troublesome enemy, Sanji replied with a shake of the head. I guess it's good that we meet him this early then, Zoro replied with a small smirk, because this gives us time to make up a plan to get around his ability. Do you have any ideas, big bro Zoro? Johnny asked in curiosity. Chopper, get me some bandages, Zoro told the little reindeer as he ran and grabbed his bandages. Good job, now we tie this around our wrist and write an X written under it, and if we come across one of the crew without the mark we will know that they are a fake. That's a surprisingly good plan, Vivi stated as she looked at the green-haired pirate. Good, let's get this done, Luffy told them as he held out his right arm. Later that same day. Go, Zoro told Luffy as they got closer to Nanohana. Are you sure? Luffy asked as he had locked in on a target with his Kanbunshoku haki. I don't even know what to say. Maybe he can be told the truth, Nami stated as she walked up to the two. Tell him the truth, he'll see straight through it if you lie anyway. Maybe you're right, Luffy replied as he smiled at the pair. I'll see you guys when you get there. Just don't bring the Marines this time, Nami grumbled as she watched Luffy Geppo off the ship. No promises, Luffy yelled with a smile as he ran through the air. Where's big bro Luffy going? Yosaku yelled as he watched the straw-hatted captain run through the air. He's got someone to meet, was all that Robin told them as Nami put the crew back to work. As Luffy ran through the air towards the brother that he needed to warn, he couldn't help but reflect to the last time they met in his previous lifetime. He couldn't ever forget the moment that Akainu punched a hole through Ace's chest as the Fire Fist pirate protected his little brother. He knew that he would prevent that from happening this time and even hopefully save Whitebeard. In Nanohana. Tashigi, there's a lot of noise coming from here, Smoker stated with 2 cigars in his mouth as he looked at the crowded street. Let's check it out. It sounds like a customer died in there, Tashigi told her superior as they pushed through the crowd and walked into a shocked Marine. Captain Smoker, the Marine yelled out in shock and terror, you're not going to believe who's in there. Inside the restaurant. He was talking with the owner and just peeled over and died, one of the men said inside in shock. He doesn't look like he's from here, Anther stated as they stared at the seemingly dead man. The people around here think he must have eaten a desert strawberry, another man informed them. Desert strawberry, the first man asked in curiosity. It's actually a poisonous spider that looks like a red strawberry, the third man told them. If you unwittingly eat it, it will cause you to suddenly die a few days later. As the villagers speculated about the strange mon's sudden death, he did the unthinkable. He sat up and began to clean his face with a surprised woman's clothes. The man looked remarkably like Luffy, however he looked more serious. He was also taller and more muscular, he also had childish freckles. The man had a tattoo on his back, purple bones formed in a cross behind a purple skull with a white mustache. He also had another tattoo on his upper left bicep that spells, ASCE, vertically with the S crossed out. He wore black boots, black knee-length shorts with an eyelet-studded orange belt, and a blue pouch belted around his left leg. He also wore a short second belt with a large red A on the silver buckle over his right hip, but left it unfastened and threaded the free end along the back of his shorts. A dagger in a green sheath hung at his left hip. On his left arm, he wore a log pose and a red and white striped bracelet around his wrist, an orange elbow guard, and his ASCE tattoo. He wore a red beaded necklace and an orange hat with 2 blue smileys, one frowning and one smiling, and a string of red beads sitting above the rim. 2 long orange side straps hung down sides of his hat and met at a large medallion of a bull's skull with orange tassels. Damn it, I fell asleep, the man said as the people in the bar stared in shock and disbelief. He was asleep, a man muttered in shock. Oh, by the way, the man started as he pulled out Luffy's wanted poster and showed the barman. Has this guy come into tow? He always wears a straw hat. You don't seem to have a problem eating in town. A voice cut into the conversation. Now what does the commander of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates want in this country? Portgas D. Ace. The villagers in the restaurant recoiled in shock and terror at the name Whitebeard, the world's strongest man. Some of the villages were screaming in terror and fleeing the restaurant just to get away from the man that was a part of that crew. Others were rooted to the spot as they couldn't believe that the 2nd Division commander of a Yonko's crew was sitting in their country. Me, I'm just looking for my little brother, Ace told the man with a large smile on his face. With Luffy, the Straw Hat Captain's feet touched down as he ran through the small town as he made his way towards his older brother. He could feel Smokey's presence net to Ace as he pushed his way through to the restaurant and kicked open the door, drawing shocked looks from the people in the bar, an angry scowl from Smoker and a happy smile from Ace. 2 sake cups, 1 bottle of sake and all the meat you have, Luffy ordered as he sat down next to Ace. It's been a while. It has, Ace replied as the cups and bottle were placed in front of him. Let's drink. Smoker watched in shock as the second commander of the Whitebeard Pirates and the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates exchanged cups of sake with a smile. He then became irritated as the pair began to talk to each other like he wasn't even there. Straw Hat, Smoker yelled as he jumped from his seat. Ah, Smokey, Luffy said as if he only just noticed the man, did you want a drink as well? Stop mucking around, Smoker yelled as he took his jeet off his back and pointed it at Luffy. You're under arrest. We'll see you later, Luffy yelled as Ace nodded at him. The two brothers fled the bar with their mouths stuffed with meat. Straw Hat, Smoker shouted as he began to pursue him. With the crew, Vivi Swan, Nami Swan, Robin Swan, Kaya Swan, you're all so beautiful in those, Sanji swooned as he looked at the group of women. No, you don't, Usopp yelled as he slammed his fist into Sanji's head, only to receive a kick in return. We have to find Luffy, Nami stated as she locked onto his presence. Look for the loudest place, Zoro stated lazily. He'd be the cause of it, Jin stated as he noticed a group of Marines, and he's probably the cause of that. Hide, Usopp ordered as they began to run away. Look, there's my crew, Luffy yelled with Ace behind him. You'll love them. They're there, the Marines that ran past them yelled as they turned around. Get out of my way, Smoker yelled as he pushed through his Marines. White blow. Kagero, Ace shouted as he jumped in front of the Smoker and his flames absorbed it. You may be smoke, but I'm fire and you don't stand a chance against me. Who's that? Kaya asked in curiosity. That's Ace, Luffy's brother, Robin informed them all as Luffy smiled at her. I wasn't expecting anyone to know about me, Ace told them as he stared at Smoker. It seems you've changed a little. Maybe a little, Luffy replied with a smirk. Well, we can't talk like this, you guys can run, and I'll catch up to you, Ace stated as he looked at Luffy and then back to the Marines. I need to stay here and stop these guys for a bit. You haven't changed, Luffy replied with a smirk as he stood next to his brother. Zoro, make sure everyone gets back to the ship and we'll meet you there. You know he is a Logia, Ace asked as he looked at Luffy. I've beat him before, Luffy informed him as he let loose a large controlled burst of Haoshoku Haki. Haoshoku Haki, Ace whispered in complete shock as the Marines collapsed, with Tashigi falling to a knee and Smoker struggling to stand up. How long have you been able to use that? We have a lot to talk about, Luffy told him somberly. For now let's deal with these two. I'll take the captain, Ace stated as he rushed forwards. Still the overprotective brother, Luffy muttered with a shake of the head as he shot at Tashigi. Luffy looked at the struggling swordswoman as she pushed herself to her feet and taking her stance with her sword drawn. With a quick Zoro the straw-hatted pirate appeared in front of the female marine and reared his arm back. With a shout of Gomu Gomu no pistol Luffy threw his arm forwards and punched the woman in the stomach, knocking her out easily. While this happened, Ace was having fun unleashing walls of fire around the smoke that Smoker was letting out. He was making sure the marine didn't make it past him and to Luffy. As soon as his little brother's battle finished, Ace let the walls of flame down and watched as the marine looked at him in shock. You're going to let us go, Ace told the marine captain, or I'll start to take this fight seriously. Fine, Smoker spat as he walked towards Tashigi. Watch your back. Straw Hat, I'll see you later Smokey, Luffy yelled as he ran with Ace towards the Going Merry. Now let's introduce you to my crew. At the Going Merry, Luffy and Ace arrived back on the Going Merry, only to be stared at by Johnny, Yosaku, Jin and Kaya as Vivi was yelling at Karu. Luffy listened as she ordered Karu to run to her father with the letter she had attached to him. Although the crew had a good chuckle as they watched Karu run off with the order to conserve water, only to start drinking heavily while running. Luffy, is it true that your brother is the second commander of the Whitebeard Pirates? Jin asked in curiosity as he looked at Fire Fist. Yeah, this is Ace, Luffy told his crew with a large smile. Ace, this is my first mate Zoro, my navigator Nami, my sniper Usopp, my apprentice Dr. Kaya, my cook Sanji, my merchant Jin, my riggers Johnny and Yosaku, my archaeologist Robin and my Dr. Chopper. Thank you all for taking care of my little brother, Ace stated as he bowed at them. I know how much trouble he can be. He's so polite, the crew said in shock. We still need to talk, Ace stated as he looked at his brother. I can tell that some of you don't belong on Paradise. Cabin, now, Luffy told him as he turned to his crew. Me and my brother have some catching up to do, I hope you don't mind. Go ahead, Kaya told him with a kind smile. That was weird, Jin muttered as he looked at the crew and saw looks of understanding in most of them. In cabin, what's wrong? Ace asked his little brother as Luffy stared at him. I've been waiting so long for this, Luffy told him with tears in his eyes. We have a lot to talk about, including the fact that Sabo is alive. What? Ace shouted as he looked at his brother, why do you think that? I met him, Luffy replied with the tears running down his face, in Dressrosa, a bit over 2 years from now. You can't mean, Ace stated in shock as Luffy nodded his head, I can tell you aren't lying, that's something you've never been good at. Thank you, Luffy cried as he hugged his older brother, you can't go after Blackbeard. Why? Ace asked as he stared at his brother before a look of understanding appeared on his face, he kills me. No, but he sets it up, Luffy told him, he captures you and hands you over to the Marines, and they decide on a public execution. But that means that Whitebeard would come, Ace replied as Luffy once again looked sad, he dies as well. The old man did his best, Luffy informed him, he was just as sick, but he did save you before Akainu killed you. I promise I won't fight him then, Ace replied, but how did he beat me? His devil fruit nullified yours, it can cancel out all devil fruit abilities, Luffy told him, and your haki just wasn't good enough. I guess I'll just have to work on that, Ace replied as a smirk appeared on his face, now, where's Sabo? He's with the Revolutionary Army, but he's lost his memories, Luffy told him, he's also the chief of staff. So, he's become powerful, Ace muttered as he took a piece of paper out of his pocket and wrote a number on it, this is Whitebeard's number, call him when you're done here. Why? Luffy asked with his head cocked to the side. We're going to be in an alliance, Ace told him, at least until you reach the New World. You're going to tell him, Luffy questioned. If you'll allow me to, Ace replied, this should stop a large number of Marines from attempting to capture you. Thank you, Luffy told him, this will give me time to make sure my crew is strong enough. No worries little brother, it's about time for me to leave, Ace said as he stood up and walked out of the cabin. It looks like we have company, Luffy stated as he saw 5 ships appear on the horizon. I'll deal with them, Ace told him. No, let my crew do it, Luffy replied, Zoro, Usopp, it's up to you. This'll be easy, Usopp yelled as he ran below deck into the cannons. Huh, you want us to show off a little, Zoro stated as he looked at Ace and unsheathed Sandai Kidetsu, Itoryu, Sanbyakurokuju Pound Ho. Ace watched in shock as the green-haired swordsman shot out a compressed wind blade, he watched as it flew over the seas and took down 2 of the Baroque works ships with ease. As soon as the 2 ships were cut into pieces, he heard the telltale signs of cannons going off. The cannonballs traveled to the ships in surprising speed as 2 of them struck a ship each and caused those ships to fall onto the remaining one and destroy. Impressive, Ace stated as he smiled at Luffy, I guess this is goodbye. I'll see you again, Luffy yelled as his brother set off on a fire-powered small ship, Nami, we need a Den Den Mushi and we have to keep this number safe. Whose is it? Nami asked as she wrote it down. Whitebeard's, Luffy told them simply as they dropped in shock, and stitched the paper into my hat. Why do we have Whitebeard's number? Usopp screamed. I'll tell you when we're done with Crocodile, Luffy told them, when Nami's done, you guys will set out towards your target but I will head to Alubarna. Why aren't you coming with us? Vivi questioned. I'll be making sure the 2 armies don't meet, Luffy told them all, once you're done, head towards me. Got it, Zoro replied as he stood up, you guys heard him. I'll make him some food, Sanji sighed as he walked into the kitchen. Zoro, look after them, Luffy ordered with a strangely serious face. I will, Zoro replied in certainty. Chapter 17, The Last Chance to Stop a War. We're here, Vivi informed them as the Going Merry ported near a rock in the desert, from here we can get to Yuba. It feels weird sailing without Luffy, Chopper stated as they all began to get off the ship, what do you think he's doing? Probably something stupid, Nami replied, but knowing him it will end up being spectacular. It doesn't matter what he is doing, we have a job to do, Zoro told them, now let's begin this walk and hopefully we run into Crocodile. Don't say something so stupid, Usopp yelled in anger and fright, let's leave Crocodile to Luffy. Only if we don't see him first, Zoro muttered as he jumped off the ship, let's go. As Zoro's feet hit the rock a large amount of figures jumped out of the water and surrounded him. The swordsman let out a chuckle as he was surrounded by dugongs that were in kung fu stances and looked ready to rush him. Stop, Zoro ordered as the bloodlust appeared in his eyes and the dugongs froze in place, we're not here for a fight. Vivi had to once again let out a gasp of surprise as she saw the dungeons retreat back into the water, she was pulled out of her surprise by Chopper laughing at something the dugongs must have said. She looked at Chopper as he shifted to his human form and jumped off the Going Merry as the rest of the crew followed him. They think you're a wild beast, Chopper told Zoro as the swordsman smirked at him. That's not the first time that I've been mistaken for a wild beast, Zoro chuckled. Are there any other animals like that we need to know about, Princess? Johnny asked. Not that I think you need to be worried about, Vivi replied as she began to walk, we have to go through Arumalu to get to Yuba. The Spider's Cafe. Long trip, tired, hip hurts and it's all your fault Mr. 4 Inches, a small lady said quickly as she walked into the Spider's Cafe with a large man, your lagging goes straight to my hip. I'm SS Suori, the large man apologized slowly. Yeah, how's business Paula, your place seems empty today, the woman told the barkeeper, empty place. Ha 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 ha, the barkeeper laughed at the pair. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. Four? Mr. Four is rather tall and fat, has big lips, and wears a green shirt that covers most of his body with black pants and gray running shoes. Like all other officer agents, his number is expressed somewhere on his clothing or his person. Mr. Four has an obscure 4 design on his shirt, as well as a 4 on his baseball bat. Miss Merry Christmas is a stout, middle-aged woman with red hair. She wears a necktie that resembles a Christmas tree, which goes with her codename. She also wears a large pair of purple-lensed sunglasses, a basket strapped to her back, and sandals. This place is reserved for you guys today, Paula told them. I guess you both want your usual. Do you hear a weird song? Miss Merry Christmas asked as Paula placed a drink in front of her. I can, Paula replied as she looked at the door. I guess that means it's about time. Time? Miss Merry Christmas questioned in confusion as the door opened and revealed Mr. Two and his men. Paula, Fatty and Toots, Mr. Two yelled with a smile. Hello my friends, men, you can leave now. Shut up, shut up, shut up, Miss Merry Christmas yelled as Mr. Two started to spin around like a ballerina. I'm so bored, the Okama complained as he was spinning around. This is so boring. As the Baroque Works agent was spinning around in circles, the wall behind him got cut to pieces. As Mr. Two stopped spinning around, his men were launched through the wall covered in blood coming from deep cuts. My lovies, Mr. Two cried as he ran over to them. Who did this to you? What, you know them, freak? A man questioned as he walked straight through the wreckage. They were being suspicious in the desert, so I dealt with them, but you shouldn't worry about them, they're not dead. They're my subordinates, Mr. Two yelled in anger as he charged the other man. The Okama ran straight at the man and kicked him in the chest. He looked surprised as the man who broke the room didn't flinch from the kick. The Okama started to follow that up by dishing out rapid kicks as the man dodged each and every one. As he dodged the last kick that Mr. Two tried to hit him with, the man threw a punch that the Okama bent over backwards to dodge. He lifted his leg up and kicked the man in the chest, sending him flying backwards and into the wall. As the strange man got closer to the wall, he lifted his arms up and the wall seemed to split apart to make way for him. What the? Miss Merry Christmas yelled as she watched the battle in shock. He slid through the wall. Wait, no, don't tell me that he cut it apart. Mr. One, stop this, Paula demanded as she stood between him and Mr. Two. Move, Miss Doublefinger, Mr. One ordered as the rest of the agents in the cafe looked at her in shock. Mr. One is a tanned man with long, thin limbs and fingers. He is tall and very muscular, and his head is shaven. His most striking feature is probably the black unibrow, right over his round eyes. He has big lips and the archaic Japanese symbol of the number 1 tattooed on his torso. He wears an oriental-looking attire consisting of a sleeveless dark coat with golden edges and white motifs on the front, over very loose beige pants held up by a white sash around the waist, with some light brown fur sprouting from it. His pants were tucked inside some bandages wrapped around his calves and in part around his shoes. Miss Doublefinger is a young, slim woman of average height with curly dark blue hair, thick lips, dark green eyes, pale skin and a curvaceous figure. She wears yellow crystal square glasses and a diamond-patterned bandana that combines a variety of pink, turquoise, white and purple tones. She is also shown wearing a tank top, purple in color, with pink embroideries drawn across it and green ornaments that resemble some kind of bushes representations. She wears dark brown low riding pants, platform sandals, and has her long, dark blue hair tied back in a ponytail. We've got to meet the boss, Miss Doublefinger told them all. As Miss All Sunday still hasn't returned, I've set up the transport for the City of Dreams, Rainbase. With the Straw Hats, bar Luffy. So, this is it, Johnny stated as he looked at the town. There's nothing here, Jin stated as he looked at how the sand had covered the town. No, this isn't Yuba, Vivi told them. We still have another day and a half until we reach Yuba. But what happened here? Yosaku asked. This place used to be full of green life, Vivi revealed to them, but that had changed in the last 3 years as Alabasta hasn't seen a single drop of rain. No rain at all, Kaya shouted in shock. Yes, but no rain doesn't hurt Alabasta, Vivi told them all, but there was always one place that used to get more rain than anywhere else. It was Alubarna, the capital of Alabasta, and the people used to call it the King's Miracle. What changed that? Nami asked. 2 years ago, in Nanohana dance powder was spilled when it was being delivered to the king's palace, Vivi informed them, or at least that's what they said after they spilled it all. Dance powder? Jin asked in shock. It's a powder that calls the rain, Robin informed the group. It was created by a country years ago. It emits a mist-like substance that makes the clouds rain. That sounds like a good thing, Johnny replied in confusion. That's the problem, Sanji stated, as it makes the clouds rain earlier than they are meant to. It means that they don't rain when they are supposed to, and that causes droughts. That is the reason that the world government has declared the powder illegal. That was the start of Crocodile's plan, Robin stated. After that, rain only fell over the capital and then dance powder was found in the palace. So that's how he started the rebellion, Jin stated. It's only normal for the people to distrust their king after all that happened. So, can you see why we need to tell the rebels the truth? Vivi told them with tears in her eyes, we can stop the bloodshed before it happens. Then let's go, Nami yelled as she began to walk forwards. After all, this is what Luffy would want for us. Day and a half later. Plenty had happened to the Straw Hats in their travels across the desert. They met another wild animal that the princess had forgotten to tell them about. The Warusagi birds had been at the place that the group decided to camp for the night and seemed to be passed out. Luckily Vivi informed them that it was all a ruse to distract them and make it easier for the birds to steal their supplies. The birds left the area after a quick glare from Zoro that promised them they would be the meal for the night if they stayed around. Soon after the group had finished eating, another of the creature from the desert rose from the sand chasing a camel that had ran into their camp. This time the princess had forgotten to warn them about the great Sandora lizards that called the desert their homes. As the giant lizard took notice of the group, Sanji and Zoro jumped at it and killed it with a kick and a slash of a sword. Sanji soon after cut the lizard up to restock some of the supplies that he had used over their trip. As they set out for Yuba the next day with the camel in tow, the group were shocked to find out the animal was a pervert. Nami had quickly named the camel Eyelashes after finding out that he would only allow women to ride on its back. They reached Yuba soon after and were all shocked to see what the so-called oasis now looked like. Vivi was physically distraught as she looked at the that now covered the buildings as they walked through Yuba to find a single frail old man at work digging up the sand. "Excuse me," Vivi yelled out as the man looked up at her, "are the rebels here?" "They've left," the man grunted out. "I hope you are not planning to join those fools, the king is a good man." "Do you know where they have gone?" Vivi asked as the man's eyes widened in recognition. "Princess, it's been so long," the man whispered with tears filling his eyes as he rushed forwards and wrapped the woman in a hug. "I guess you don't recognize me, princess, I have lost some weight." "Mr. Toto," Vivi whispered in shock as she looked at the man in front of her and remembered the large and jolly man he used to be. The man in front of her didn't look anything like she remembered. Toto's body had completely shriveled up from thirst and starvation to a point that he no longer resembled his former self. He has an elderly-looking face, and a thick fuzzy mustache. He wears a white wrap around his head, and another gray wrap around his forehead. He wears black robes, that are torn in some places, and a green robe underneath with a dark red lining. Under that, he wears a vertically striped black and white shirt. He also has a turquoise sash, with blue dots. "That's right," the crying man told her. "I can't believe it," Vivi whispered as tears filled her eyes. "Listen to me, Vivi, I believe in the king, I know he wouldn't do anything to us," the man said with a smile. "The rebels are in Cateria, please stop those fools." "Mr. Toto," Vivi said as she handed the man a napkin, "we will stop this rebellion." "Thank you," the man cried, "you can stay here for the night." Later that night, as the night rolled and joy filled Yuba for the first time in years, the Straw Hats were acting as they usually did and brought hope to the old man who truly believed in the king. He couldn't help but smile at Vivi as she watched some of the men in the crew act out a battle with pillow fights. He had to stop himself from slapping the young cook on the back of the head as he was offering to share a bed with Vivi and Nami before the orange-haired woman slapped him on the back off the head. With a smile on his face, the old man walked outside and begun his digging for the night. Maybe tonight he'd be lucky and find water for his young heroes. As he was digging, he heard noises from above him. Poking his head out of the hole, he noticed the doctor and the sniper of the crew smiling at him and beginning to help him dig up the ground. The next morning the Straw Hats had woken up to quite a surprise, a small barrel of Yuba water for all of them that was gifted by the old man who wouldn't take them back. He explained to the group that he had found a small well of water thanks to Chopper and Usopp helping him dig up the desert throughout the night. With a smile on their faces, the Straw Hats promised to see the old man again as they began to leave the village and exited Toto's sight. As soon as that happened, the Straw Hats that come back in time all come to a stop as Vivi stared at them in shock. "What's wrong?" Vivi asked in confusion. "It's time we had a talk," Robin told her. "What do you mean?" Vivi replied. "We have to head towards Crocodile," Zoro told the princess. "What?" Vivi whispered in shock. "Think of it like this, if we stop the rebellion, will we stop Crocodile?" Nami stated. "We can't do anything if we go to their new base, after all we're pirates, you'd be better off without us." "Well," Vivi started before she was cut off. "You don't want anybody to die in this war," Zoro told her, "the people of your country, as or anyone else." "What's wrong with that?" Vivi asked in outrage. "You're talking about a fight with one of the Shichibukai and over 1,000,000 people in battle," Zoro stated, "and all you want is for no one to die. If you think that, you're naive." "What's wrong with that?" Vivi yelled. "What's wrong with not wanting people to die?" "People die," Zoro simply said. "Stop talking like that," Vivi yelled as she hit Zoro in the jaw. "Don't you dare say that again. That's what we are trying to stop. You can't blame the rebels or the army for this. This is all Crocodile's fault." "Then why are you risking your life?" Nami asked her. "Look at you, you're crying, and since you're the one who wants to kill him the most, tell us where Crocodile is." "He's in Rain Base," Vivi cried out. "Rain Base. It's time to start," Miss Doublefinger told the other agents. "I haven't met him yet, but it's time to meet the boss. Until now, I have acted as a private face," the man stated, "but there is no more need for that, do you understand?" It's about time, Mr. 2 said. Plan Utopia, the man told them, this is the final plan of Baroque works. Crocodile, the agents yelled in shock. Crocodile is a tall man with a wide chest, broad shoulders, muscular arms and legs, and a thick neck. He has pale skin and nape-length black hair which is kept neatly slicked back. Crocodile has various battle wounds, most notably a long stitched scar at the bridge of his nose that stretches across his face and a large hook made from a tough gold alloy in place of his left hand. His eyes are deep-set and heavy-lidded, and his thin eyebrows are characteristically drawn upward in the middle. Crocodile wore a bright orange, black striped button-up vest over a long-sleeved peach shirt, along with a blue scarf, dark brown suit pants, and polished black shoes with gold buckles. He also wore a long, thick, dark pelted fur coat over his shoulders. Any complaints? Crocodile with a smirk on his face. No complaints, just a question, Miss Doublefinger asked, why are you doing this? I want a military force, Crocodile told them, but let's talk about our objective first, we will take over this country in one night. Operation Utopia, Mr. 2 said. I would appreciate it if I was let in on this operation, Mr. 3 cut in. How did you get here? Miss All Sunday asked in shock. I've been following you since Spider's Cafe, Mr. 3 told them, but boss, please listen to me, I may have failed to complete my orders but I want one more chance. Failed to complete your orders, Crocodile growled out, what do you mean by that? I'm speaking about the fact that I let the Straw Hats escape, Mr. 3 told him. You let them escape, so they're still alive, Crocodile yelled in outrage, but you told me on the Den Den Mushi that you had killed them. Den Den Mushi, Mr. 3 questioned, I never used the Den Den Mushi on Little Garden. What? Crocodile said in shock, at least I know why the unluckies never returned, you at least managed to take out a few. Not exactly, Mr. 3 replied in terror. What? Crocodile yelled in frustration. There was misinformation, Mr. 3 told him, there were actually at least 6 pirate escorts. Why you? Crocodile roared. Zero-chan, what's going on here? Mr. 2 asked as he stared between the two men. Mr. 3 had reported that he killed these pirates, Miss All Sunday stated as she placed pictures on the desk. I met these people, Mr. 2 told the group in shock, I met them the way here. Mr. 2 shifted between all the appearances of the pirates that he had met. He got the pictures taken of all their faces as Crocodile explained that they were the only other people who knew his true identity. Mr. 3 stared in shock as he watched and heard the proceedings and decided to beg for the mon's forgiveness. The agent stared in terror as Crocodile wrapped his hand around Mr. 3's neck and shriveled up his skin by draining the water from his body. He walked over to the railing near the table they were sitting on and threw the man down into a room as he knocked on the glass nearby. Now that's done for, we have to make sure these pirates don't meet the rebels, Crocodile told them, they are the only ones that have the ability to stop this rebellion, so make sure the billions and millions know to exterminate them in sight and after you are finished with your orders you will do the same. Where are you Miss All Sunday? Crocodile thought in frustration. The Straw Hats. Sadly, unbeknownst to the Straw Hats they had arrived too late to stop the agents from Baroque Works leaving to fulfill their orders. As they entered the town Usopp, Jin, Johnny and Yosaku were sent to get barrels of water for the crew. The group soon entered a tavern that was close to the entrance of Rainbase and started to order water as they all took a seat and took a few chugs. They heard some familiar voice and turned to the side noticing the Marine Captain Smoker and his subordinate Tashigi. After spitting water onto the pair, the group of pirates began to flee from the tavern with the water in hand. As the Straw Hats left the bar, Smoker and Tashigi rose to their feet and began to purse the fleeing pirates. The Marine pair began to through the streets of Rainbase as the pirates tried to find the rest of their crew. They soon meet the rest bar chopper as the Marines surrounded them. Zoro looked around and noticed that they had also attracted the attention of a number of bounty hunters who were looking at them with a hunger in their eyes. Vivi, where's Crocodile? Luffy shouted at the princess. There, Vivi yelled as she pointed towards a pyramid-shaped casino with a crocodile on top, that's Rain Dinners. We have to scatter, Sanji told the group. Then let's do it, Zoro ordered, we'll meet back up at Croc's place. The Marines faltered as the group scattered and began to run away on different directions. Nami, Usopp and Kaya ran off together, Zoro and Vivi ran with Vivi leading the pair, Sanji went looking for the little reindeer with Jin and Johnny and Yosaku ran off together. I'll take Roronoa, Smoker roared as he began his pursuit. Zoro cursed as the Marine captain began to chase after him. He quickly took off his sheathed Wado Ikimonji from his waist, coating it in Busoshoku Haki in the process and began to swat away the Logia captain anytime he got close to him and Vivi. As he looked over his shoulder he noticed that more bounty hunters had joined in the chase with a bloodthirsty look in their eyes. As he looked forwards he noticed that Vivi had disappeared from his sight. Zoro soon came upon Rain Dinners and noticed that Nami's group and the swordsman duo were already there and waiting for them. Zoro took one final look over his shoulder and noticed the Marine captain soon behind him. If Luffy hadn't given the orders to not fight him he would have already put the man down. Let's get inside, Nami yelled as she began to run inside the casino. The Straw Hats that were outside of the casino led the charge as they burst through the doors with the Marine captain hot on their wheels. The group ran straight through the security guards, knocking them out as they did. As they continued to run amok in the casino, they noticed the security leading them into the VIP area. They ran in the direction they were told to as Smoker caught up to them. As the Marine captain placed his hand on Usopp's shoulder, the floor beneath them opened up and the group fell straight into a cage. Damn it, how did we fall for this? Jin yelled in frustration. My bad, Usopp told the man. This is exactly what he wanted us to do. Nami yelled at the sniper, how could we be so stupid? Roronoa, Smoker roared as he took his jeet off his back. Calm down, Zoro told the man as he put Wado Ikimonji back on his hip. Why should I? Smoker yelled as he brought his jeet down towards Zoro. You should stop fighting, a rough voice said off to the side as the group turned and noticed Crocodile. You'll kill each other, why can't you just be friends? Crocodile, Smoker muttered in frustration. You really are a stray hound, Smoker. You never thought of me as an ally from the start, Crocodile stated with a laugh. I was just going to have report you killed by the Straw Hats. I have reported your fights against them to the Marines already and they'll believe me. The government don't normally send Marines here after all. He doesn't live up to Mihawk, Zoro muttered. Where's you captain? The Shichibukai asked in curiosity. Probably in Alubarna by now, Zoro replied with a smirk as a frown appeared on Crocodile's face. I'm surprised that you guys have gotten this far. I never thought I'd actually meet you, but don't worry, I'll kill you all soon enough. Crocodile gloated. We're just waiting for our honored guest to arrive and I've sent my partner to get here. With Vivi. I can't believe she gave us so much trouble, one of the billions surrounding Vivi stated. We can see why she was a frontier agent now. Damn it, Vivi mumbled. I can't die here, I have to get to rain dinners. That's too bad, one of the billions laughed as he stepped forward. Vivi's breath hitched as the Baroque Works agent walked closer to her. The princess's eyes widened as she heard gunfire before the men around her started to fall to the ground. Her eyes scanned the sky where the bullets came from and she noticed a bird-like creature flying towards her as a smile worked its way onto her face. As the bird-like creature landed in front of her, it shifted into a human that stared down the remaining Baroque Works billions. Nice to see you again, princess, the man said with a smile. Please wait here a moment. Pell, Vivi muttered in shock as she looked at the man and watched as he transformed back into his falcon-like bird and tore through the remaining billions. Pell is a tall man with a purple line under each eye that runs down the sides of his face, making him resemble a falcon, his devil fruits animal. He wears a long white robe with brown star-like motifs on it and a matching hat. He has a big orange necklace around his neck, and also sports striped socks under a pair of normal shoes, and he carries his sword on his right hip. You saved me, Vivi muttered in happiness before she sat up straight, but now we must hurry to where everyone else is. With Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Kaya, Jin, Johnny and Yosaku. You got a plan? Zoro asked the navigator. You really don't want to rely on Sanji, do you? Nami laughed. Of course not, Zoro replied as Crocodile looked at them. That guy's such a dick, Nami muttered as she glared at Crocodile. What a feisty little girl, Crocodile laughed as he watched the orange-haired navigator. You better take this time to compose yourself, the woman yelled at Crocodile. Once we get out of here, Zoro will kick your ass. Ha ha ha, you seem to have a lot of trust placed in you as swordsman. Trust? Crocodile laughed. That is the most useless thing in the world. How dare he make fun of us, Nami yelled in frustration as Usopp tapped her shoulder and told her to calm down. Crocodile, Vivi yelled as she entered the hidden base with Pell and a restaurant worker. Vivi, the pirates yelled in shock. Well, hello, Vivi, Princess of Alabasta, Crocodile greeted with a large smile. No, Miss Wednesday, you have done a wonderful job of escaping my assassins. Of course, I'd come from anywhere, Vivi shouted back, if it means I can watch you die, Mr. Zero. It's your worthless country that's going to die, Crocodile replied with a serious expression. If you weren't here in Alabasta, the country will be in peace, Vivi yelled as she leapt at Crocodile with her peacock slashes being pulled out. Wait, Vivi, Zoro yelled from the cage, unlock this first. Peacock string slasher, Vivi yelled as she swung it forward and cut Crocodile's head from his body. What? Johnny yelled in shock. It's not over yet, Smoker stated. Simplify. Are you satisfied, Miss Wednesday? Crocodile's voice rang out as he reformed behind Vivi. If you lived in this country you should know about my Suna no mi, maybe I should turn you into a mummy. No, Vivi, Yosaku yelled in shock and disbelief. Damn it, Zoro yelled in frustration as he slammed his fist into the cage. Let her go and let me out so I can kill you. Sit and stop glaring at me, Crocodile told Vivi as he dropped her to the floor. It's about time for the party to begin. The Royal Palace. Chaka-sama, the king is missing, a guard yelled. We've searched everywhere but we can't find his majesty. That's as ridiculous, Chaka replied. Is there any chance he could have escaped during the night? Chaka is a tall, imposing dark-skinned man with medium-length black hair and a long broad nose resembling that of a jackal. He wears a long, light green tunic, revealing his muscular chest, and has two belts around his waist, a striped, pale red and crimson large one, and over it a purple, thinner one. Around his neck he has a necklace consisting of big golden beads, and he wears a dark green coat draped on his shoulders like a cape. He carries a massive sword, with a blue hilt and sheath, on his right hip. No, that's impossible, we guarded the king's room all night, the guard replied with panic laced through his voice, he couldn't have got out without one of us seeing him. Then how did he disappear from his bed chambers, Chaka boomed. I don't know, sir, the guard replied. It's time to depart the castle, Chaka yelled, we have to search all over the city. Yes sir, the guards yelled as they left the castle. Damn it, we need Pell, Chaka muttered in frustration, searching for people is his forte, but he is scouting in Rainbase right now. Chaka-sama, the king, a guard yelled as the large man turned towards him. Did you find him? Chaka demanded as he stared at the guard. Yes, well, in a way, the guard stuttered out as he told Chaka what he had found out. No way, the large man muttered out in disbelief and shock. Kateria Town, Rebellion Headquarters. Koza-san, please wait, we'll come with you, a rebellion member yelled as a man speed out of the headquarters on a house. This man was the childhood friend of Nefeltari Vivi and the leader of the rebellion, Koza. Koza is a young blonde man that wears purple-tinted glasses and has a scar on his left eye. He wears a blue scarf around his neck, a dark purple jacket that was going all the way down to his ankles, a white shirt with an ornament of some sort hanging on his neck, black pants and a yellow sash around his waist. Why is this happening so sudden? Koza mused as he ignored his men's pleas, have you really sunk this low, Cobra? Port Town Nanohana. My king, a village screamed in shock, why would you? I have an apology to make, the king announced with group of guards behind him, I am the one who stole this country's reign. Cobra is a man of average height. He has a wrinkled face, a tied-off beard, and long, curly, black hair. He wears a green robe with yellow edging, an orange and beige sash around his waist, and a purple coat. He also wears sandals and a necklace. And in order to forget about this dance powder controversy, the king told them, I am going to destroy Nanohana. Cobra-sama, a villager yelled, what kind of joke is this? Your Majesty, another yelled in shock. Crush this rotten town and burn it to the ground, the king ordered as his men rushed forwards. Hey king, the towns are drying up, a little boy yelled, cause you're stealing all the rain. The little boy wears a white turban with orange beads around it. He has a blue cloth around his neck and wears a blue robe with green sleeves. He wears brown belts around his torso where he carries stones. He has a bag that he carries on his back with various weapons, including a hammer, bat, and club. The villagers gasped in shock as the child stood up to the king all by himself. They looked at the boy in shock and noticed his determination as the king walked forwards. They all watched in horror as Cobra raised his leg and kicked the little boy away from him with a cruel smirk on his face. I'll get revenge for everybody, the boy yelled as a lady held him back. No, stop, the lady pleaded with the boy before a man on a house broke through the crowd. Koza, the villagers yelled in relief as the man entered the area. What the hell? Koza asked as he glared at Cobra, do you think you're doing? I have come to apologize, the man replied simply. Enough with the insults, Koza yelled. I'm the one who dried up this country with dance powder, Cobra stated. I told you to shut up, Koza yelled as two of the king's guards appeared with their blades at his throat, you filthy piece of shit. Koza tried to push past the guards as another man appeared by the king's side with his pistol drawn. The man glared at the king and ignored the guard as he tried to push forward only for the guard to shot Koza, much to the shock and horror of the villagers. A large smile appeared on the king's face as a gallon crashed into the city and Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger walked away from the ensuing carnage. Rainbase. Hello, a voice called from across the Den Mushi. Hello, Crocodile replied. Can you hear me? The voice asked. You're a million, aren't you? Crocodile replied. Hey, is this getting through? The voice called again. I've never used a baby snail like this. Hey, spit it out already, Crocodile growled in displeasure. What happened? Oh, that voice, I've heard it before, the voice replied. Welcome sir, to the shitty restaurant. Shitty restaurant, Crocodile muttered in realization. Oh good, you remember, the man replied. Who the hell are you? Crocodile asked in frustration. Me, I am Mr. Prince, the man told Crocodile. I see Mr. Prince, Crocodile stated, and where are you? Now, I can't tell you that, Mr. Prince replied, if I do that you'll come and kill me. I'll kill you, Crocodile growled out at the mocking man as he heard a gunshot. Hello, what should I do with this weirdo? A different man asked. Where are you? Crocodile asked with a smug smirk. I'm at the front gate of the casino called Rain Dinners, the man on the Den Mushi told Crocodile. Kuhahaha, Crocodile laughed, fine, let's go to the front gate. Zoro watched the man walk out with a small smile that slipped from his face as the man knocked down Pell and Vivi and then opened a hole in the wall to flood the room. The man smiled at the small group as he left them to their death and began to walk towards the commotion at the front of his casino. The Straw Hats and Smoker looked on in shock as the Bananawanis stared to leave their tank of water and enter the underground room, including the one that Crocodile had given the key to their cage to earlier. The Bananawanis stared to advance towards Vivi and Pell as the Straw Hats called out to them and they began to slowly get up. With Crocodile. What the hell happened here? Crocodile asked in shock as he looked at his bleeding and unconscious millions. Hey, what happened? Crocodile asked a barely conscious million. The guy, he called himself, Mr. Prince, the million replied with sharp breaths and a stutter. Where did he go? Crocodile demanded in frustration. He just left, the million replied as he raised his arm, towards the south, through the town. Just now, Crocodile muttered as he looked up and noticed a strange figure running away from the scene. Piece of shit, don't think you can get away from me. Crocodile's bottom half turned to sand and he speed off in the direction that Mr. Prince was fleeing in. As the Shichibukai left the area, an explosion went off as the bridge connecting Rain Dinners to Rain Base collapsed into the water below. With Vivi and Pell, the princess and her guard Pell had escaped from the Bananawani and were fleeing through the casino as the bridge collapsed. They stopped in shock as panic filled the casino and people began to push past them. No, I can't get out, Vivi cried. Don't think of it like that, think of it as Baroque Works can't get back in, Sanji told her as he sat in front of a slot machine. This was all according to plan. Sanji, Vivi cried in shock and happiness. Chopper's acting as a decoy, Sanji told her, so let's hurry, all you need to tell me is where to go, princess. With Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Kaya, Jin, Johnny and Yosaku. So this is how we're going to die, Jin stated as he watched Johnny and Yosaku trying to cut through the cage. How can you two be so calm? Nami yelled at Jin and the smoking marine next to him. How much do you know about Crocodile's plan? Smoker questioned as he looked at the crew. If he does what I think he plans to, this will become a problem for the whole world that we have to stop now. Antimatter kick course, Sanji yelled as he entered the basement and kicked the Bananawani closest to the cage into the air. Hey, Sanji stated as he took a drag on his cigarette, were you waiting? Sanji, some of the pirates called out. Hurry up and do something, love cook, Zoro yelled as more Bananawanis entered the basement. The third on that entered has the key, Smoker stated as the pirates looked at him in shock. The growl is the same one that ate the key. Sanji smirked at the marine captain as he rushed toward the gator. He once again unleashed his antimatter kick course on the Bananawani. As the Bananawani's back bent around Sanji's foot, the giant gator spat out a large white ball that shocked the group. As Sanji went to inspect the ball, more of the Bananawanis surrounded the Straw Hat's cook. Smoker watched on in interest as the blonde pirate was easily dispatching the beasts. Freedom, Mr. 3 yelled as he broke out of the white ball. Ahahaha, I survived, I thought I was a goner. We don't need a key, Usopp muttered as he looked at the strange man. Sanji, force him to get us out of here. It wasn't long before a battered and bleeding Mr. 3 was pushing a duplicate key into the seastone cage and opening it up for the pirates and Smoker to escape. As the Straw Hats and Smoker escaped the cage, the walls surrounding the basement finally collapsed due to all the fighting and flooded the basement. Zoro quickly grabbed the marine captain as the Mont's body fell limp from the water and followed the crew to the top. Why did you save me? Smoker asked as he raised his weapon at Zoro. Because my captain wouldn't want me to let you die, Zoro replied simply. Then I guess you have no complaints about me fulfilling my duties, Smoker asked as he stared at Zoro. This is what we get for saving a stupid marine, Sanji grumbled in distaste. Go now, Smoker told them as he looked over the crew, only this one time, I will let you leave. Hey, alright, Zoro replied with a smirk as he began to run away with the crew and Pell. The next time we meet I'll finish you all, Smoker yelled, remind your captain of that. The crew ran with the princess in the direction that they left Eyelashes, that was where they believed they would meet Chopper. As they fled from the marines they came across a strange sight. Their little doctor and Robin were sitting on the head of a large crab with eyelashes behind him. Johnny, Yosaku and Usopp looked at the crab with a twinkle in their eyes as they all jumped on the crab and began to take off towards the capital of Alabasta. As the crab rushed across the desert, Zoro and Sanji felt his Kanbunshoku haki flare up and warn him about an incoming threat. He looked out at Rainbase and noticed an angry crocodile closing in on them as he stretched his arm out with sand. The hook on Crocodile's hand wrapped around Vivi's waist as the princess screamed in terror. Zoro quickly drew his Yubashiri and coated it in Busoshoku haki as Sanji pulled the princess to safety. Zoro swiped his blade as Crocodile pulled back his hand and watched the group escape. That's interesting, Crocodile muttered, what are you doing with them, Miss All Sunday? Chapter 18, Baroque Works vs. the Straw Hats. Sir, there's a man sitting in the desert, a royal guard yelled, what do we do? Is he doing anything? The leader of the group asked. I don't think so, he's looking away from the city, the guard replied, do you think that he is part of the revolution? I'm not sure, the leader replied. What should we do? The guard asked. Keep an eye on him, the man stated, if the revolutionaries arrive and he decides to join them, then we'll know the truth. With the Straw Hats. So what do we do now? Jin asked as he looked over the desert, it looks like we have a long walk in front of us. Too long, Nami replied, if we walk we won't make it in time. Then what do we do? Kaya asked as she spotted something on the horizon. What is that? Yosaku asked as he began to draw his sword. Is it more enemies? Johnny questioned as he watched the sand kick up. No, it's Kuru, Vivi yelled as happiness flooded through her, and the super spot build duck squad. With the Baroque Works agents. Where do we wait? Miss Doublefinger asked. Our enemy is a pirate crew that had defeat at least 6 of our number agents. That's right, Mr. 2 stated as he began to spin around, and the princess was a BW member as well. Okama, quit that spinning, Miss Merry Christmas yelled in frustration. I can deceive them, Mr. 2 said, because when it comes to deception I cannot be beaten. It would be nice if we could just get this over with, Miss Doublefinger sighed, what do you think, Mr. 1? HMPH, the man grunted. Then all we have to do is kill Vivi, Miss Doublefinger told them. 2 hours later. I can see ducks, Miss Merry Christmas called out quickly. Ducks, what do you mean by ducks, Miss Doublefinger questioned. There's too many of them, I can see at least 6, Miss Merry Christmas screamed in reply, there's a lot more than was on that list. That's because you obviously didn't listen to the boss, Miss Doublefinger told her, there's that Mr. Prince guy and there could be even more. It doesn't matter how many of them there are, our target still stays the same, Mr. 1 growled out, so shut up. I can see the rebels, look over there are so many, Mr. 2 yelled as he twirled around in a circle. That princess is one loony loon, if she thinks she can stop them all, and that loony loon is coming in this direction. Mr. 1, you said all we have to do is kill the princess, Miss Merry Christmas asked as the man nodded. Alright then, why don't you tell me which one is Vivi? The remaining Baroque Works agents ran across to the edge where Miss Merry Christmas was standing and grunted in frustration. All the advancing ducks had at least one rider on their backs, but there was a problem with identifying who were the riders. All of the people on the ducks wore the exact same cloaks that coated their bodies and blocked the agents from identifying which one was Vivi. Mr. 4 was the first of the group to react, he quickly raised his bazooka to his shoulder and fired a single baseball. The baseball landed in front of the advancing group and split them up as they ran around the small ball that exploded much to shock of some of the pirates. As the group split up the Baroque Works agents started to take notice of them, they were splitting up and heading to different entrances to Alubarna. The agents nodded at each other as they split up and began to follow the ducks to the different entrances. Mr. 2 was the first one to chase down his target as the 2 ducks came to a stop in front of him, he could hear the chuckle of 2 men as a frown took its place on his face. The 2 men pulled down their head to reveal a blonde man smoking a cigarette and a black-haired man with scruffy facial hair. You've got this one, Sanji told Jin. This will be fun, Jin stated with a bloodthirsty smirk as he spun his tonfas around. With Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger. The Mr. 1 pair were standing across from the pair of ducks that they had chased into the city of Alubarna. The 2 ducks both had 2 riders on them that were disembarking as they were chuckling at the 2 agents of Baroque Works. Mr. 1 grunted in distaste as the 4 people pulled off their hoods revealing none of them were Vivi. You 2 take him out, a voice stated as he stared at the agent. Nami, good luck. You're not fighting, Nami gasped in surprise. Not yet, Zoro replied as he stared at Mr. 1, this is just the next step in their training. With Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas. This is far enough, a male's voice stated as the 2 ducks came to a stop, it's time to show you who we are. What? Miss Merry Christmas yelled in annoyance. With Vivi and Robin. I still don't know why you have to come with me, Vivi muttered in annoyance as she rode Karu. Because someone has to keep an eye on our captain, Robin replied with a small smile as she rode eyelashes, and I believe that we're about to find him. With the Revolutionary Army, Vivi questioned in confusion, why would he be with them? He'll be the one stopping them, Robin replied, he's a lot stronger than he's let on. With Nami. Why is he doing this? Nami thought in frustration as she dodged a large spike that came from Miss Doublefinger, he could take her down without even breaking a sweat. With Usopp, Chopper and Kaya. Chopper, can you take care of the mole woman? Usopp asked as the reindeer nodded at him, good, me and Kaya will take out the big one. Are you sure? Kaya asked as she stared at Usopp and then Mr. 4, he is big. He'll go down, Usopp assured her, you can back me up. Alright, Kaya replied with a smile as she pulled out her bow. With Sanji and Jin. Mr. Prince, Mr. 2 questioned as he looked at the blonde man and then at Jin, and you're meant to be my opponent. Okama's, Sanji thought with a tick mark appearing on his forehead, I may go too far if I have to fight him. Don't underestimate me, Jin shot back as he glared at the man, I won't let you hurt anybody that's a part of this crew. Ah, the power of friendship, Mr. 2 yelled with a surprisingly happy tone. With Luffy. A long red captain's coat covered the Straw Hat Boy's body, he had his hat on his head as he stared out across the desert and at the advancing rebels. He smirked at the group as he heard animal footsteps approaching him, the boy turned around and noticed that Vivi and Robin had caught up to him. He nodded at Robin as she go off eyelashes with Vivi getting off Karu. The archaeologist of the Straw Hats grabbed the princess as Vivi attempted to run towards the rebels. What are you doing? Vivi yelled at Robin as she struggled in the woman's grip, I have to stop them. Luffy will do it, Robin told the princess. He can't stop that many people alone, Vivi shouted, they'll just run straight past him. Trust him, Robin stated, he's got something up his sleeve. The rebels were throwing up the sand as they rushed towards Alubarna, only 3 people stood in their watt as a cannon erupted behind the trio. Luffy frowned as he glared up at the walls to Alubarna and realized what was happening, someone was trying to make sure that they didn't stop the rebels. Luffy began to walk towards the rebels as he heard the hooves of their horses slam into the ground as the large army covered the ground between them. The Straw Hat Captain raised his head and let loose a large burst of Haoshoku haki that expanded around the army. "What's happening?" Vivi screamed in shock as she began to notice members of the rebel army fall off their horses and onto the ground. "He's stopping them," Robin whispered to the princess. Vivi looked over at Luffy and noticed the small bead of sweat that had appeared on his forehead as the pirate seemed to be in deep concentration. Horses and men were falling to the ground or stopping in their place. Screams of fear could be heard as men fled from the strange occurrence. As Luffy continued to walk forward, sand was thrown into the air around. "Stop!" Luffy roared as time seemed to freeze. "What the hell?" a voice from the front of the rebel forced out in a whisper. "Who the hell are you?" "Leader," Vivi yelled as she rushed forward. "Vivi," the man muttered as he fell to the floor. "What the hell is happening?" "Sorry about that," Luffy apologized as he stopped focusing on the group. "I just had to stop you for a friend." "There's plenty we have to speak about," Vivi told Koza, "mostly about the truth of what's happening to this country." "The truth?" Koza questioned. "I'll leave you with them," Luffy told Robin. "Make sure to watch out for Baroque Works agents." "I am," Robin chuckled darkly as Luffy heard a crunch that made him wince. "With Usopp, Chopper and Kaya." "Damn it," Usopp yelled in annoyance, "can you get them both?" "Not yet," Chopper yelled in his horn point, "they're pretty good at hiding." "How do we take him down?" Kaya asked as she drew back her bow. "Do you have any ideas?" "We just have to use a few of your arrow," Usopp admitted. "My ammo doesn't do much right now." "Can you track them?" Chopper asked as Usopp's eyes went wide. "They're coming up," Usopp yelled back as he loaded his slingshot. "Be ready for everything." Usopp watched as a small dog popped up from the ground first and shot a baseball from its mouth. The long-nosed sniper jumped to the side and grabbed Kaya as he noticed Mr. Four pop out of the ground with his baseball bat. The sniper dashed away as Mr. Four made contact with the ball and drove it right at them. The baseball just missed them as Usopp covered Kaya with his body and heard the explosion from behind him. The long-nosed boy grunted in displeasure as he felt the wind and sand rip at his back before he rolled across the sand with his slingshot ready to fire. "Sanrin Kayaku Boshi," Usopp roared as he shot out 3 gunpowder-filled lead pallets. Kaya drew her boy back and placed an arrow in it as he watched the 3 pallets hit the large Baroque Works agent. The 3 pallets hit the man in the chest and exploded on contact with the large man and sent him backwards a bit, leaving Kaya's target open. "Kemari no ya," Kaya screamed as she shot the arrow. Usopp watched the girl's arrow arch through the air and land in the hole that Mr. Four was forced out of. 3 more of the exact same arrow hit the hole soon after as they exploded in smoke. The smoke quickly flooded the holes and forced the dog and Miss Merry Christmas back above the ground and left the pair open for attack. Usopp pulled out his hammer and charged at the big man as he screamed "Usopp hammer." He slammed the small hammer into Mr. Four's head only to shudder in displease as the man didn't even budge. Usopp jumped backwards as he pulled out his slingshot once more and began to fire Kanboshi at Mr. Four. The man shrugged off the flame stars as he began to work his way through the smoke and towards Usopp. The sniper's heart skipped a beat when he heard an arrow cut through the air and rush past him. The arrow landed just in front of Mr. Four as the man came to a stop. Usopp could feel him looking at the small hill that Kaya was currently standing on as she began to load another arrow. "Hurry up," Usopp yelled in a panicked tone. "We have to take him down now." "I can't see him," Kaya complained as she attempted to see through the smoke. "Kanboshi," Usopp roared as the flame could be seen through the smoke. "Hit the light." "Thank you," Kaya yelled out as she lined up her shot, Saripu arrow. Usopp smiled as he heard the shot shoot past his head and the thunk that signaled that the arrow hit its mark. The arrow that she used was one that Usopp had created with the help of Chopper. The pair had created a small toxin that forced the target to sleep once they had been hit. The sniper made his way through the smoke and towards Mr. Four only to let out a gasp of shock. The man was still standing tall and was currently glaring at Usopp. Usopp once again drew his slingshot as he began to fire different types of ammo at the large man. He let out a groan of annoyance as he noticed that the man seemed to be shrugging off the attacks like they had no effect on him. He was relieved when he heard more arrows fire through the smoke and hit their target as the man's eyes began to gloss over. The sniper pulled his hammer out once again and began to slam it into the large man's head as Mr. Four fell to the ground. He heard footsteps coming through the smoke and a small hand place itself on his shoulder. "It's over," Kaya said in a relieved tone. "We won." This time, Usopp muttered in disappointment. "I'm supposed to be a crewmate of the future Pirate King, and right now I can do nothing." "You'll catch back up," Kaya told the boy. "Look at how much you've already helped me. Once we hit the next few islands you'll return to your former strength." "I guess," Usopp replied with a sigh as he hugged Kaya. "Thank you for your help." "Usopp-kun," Kaya yelled with a red face. "Earlier with Chopper." The reindeer smiled as he watched the smoke fill the holes that Miss Merry Christmas tunnels had created. His eyes scanned the area as he looked around for the Baroque Works agent. He quickly shifted to his jump point as he heard the dog behind him fire a baseball. The doctor of the Straw Hats frowned as he noticed the dog continuously sneezing and firing the baseball bombs all over the place. He shifted into his strong point as he fell through the air and towards the dog. As he landed on the ground he slammed his fist into the head of the dog and knocked it out. As the doctor touched the ground he was forced to change into his brain point to dodge the incoming blow from Miss Merry Christmas. The pirate let a smirk cover his face as he watched the mole woman's claws go through where his head was previously. The reindeer jumped backwards as he shifted back to his strong point and prepared for the woman's next attack. He didn't have to wait long as he brought his right arm up and caught a claw that was aimed at his face. He quickly brought his left arm back and slammed it into the woman and sent her flying backwards as she spat up a small amount of spit. The young reindeer quickly shifted into his kung fu point as he felt his blood pumping. He hadn't felt his blood pumping since he failed to take on Blackbeard. This was much easier than his fight with the pirate that he had on drum, but it was slowly forcing him to pick up the pace. Unlike Nami and Usopp, he didn't have to rely on an arsenal of toys and gadgets to fight, so he had been spending all the time since he got back slowly improving his use of his zone forms. He only really need the rumble ball to access his monster form. Sadly he wasn't able to train with that form much in drum. The young doctor shot at Miss Merry Christmas as he began to deliver a flurry of punches and kicks that the mole woman couldn't even see. As Chopper finished delivering his physical offense he slammed his fist into the woman's stomach as her eyes rolled backwards and she spat up a large amount of blood. The woman fell to the ground as Chopper pulled his fist back and shifted back to his heavy point. "Damn, that was brutal," Usopp told Chopper, "but it's so cool seeing you like that." Earlier with Sanji and Jin. Sanji took a deep puff of his cigarette and let his eyes follow Jin and Mr. 2. The Okama was attempting to kick through Jin's face as the man dodged as much as he could and continued to spin his tonfa. Jin smirked at Mr. 2 as the man once again missed with another kick. The pirate drove forwards and attempted to drive his tonfa into Mr. 2's stomach only for the man to jump backwards and out of the way. "Bastard," Jin sighed as he glared at the Baroque Works agent. "What kind of tricks are you using and how can they stand up to my Okama Kenpo?" Mr. 2 yelled in annoyance as he glared at Jin. "Move out of my way. If you want to get past me you'll have to beat me," Jin growled out. "Then I'll show off the skill I've gained from training every day," Mr. 2 warned Jin. "There's no chance you can beat me, Okama Kenpo, Dozo Okamai Knuckle." Jin was forced to sway out of the way as Mr. 2 threw his fist forwards. Jin just escaped a blow from the Okama as he noticed the man's other arm bending into a strange formation. "You can't escape my punches," Mr. 2 mocked. "Okama Kenpo, Soul Drop, Swan Party." "He's quick," Jin thought in annoyance as he ducked a punch. "I'll have to try and beat him quickly." "Akuma no I no Sumasu," Jin roared as he dodged a punch and attempted to arrive his tonfa into Mr. 2's stomach. Jin stared in shock as the Okama lifted his leg and blocked the tonfa without flinching. Jin spun around and attempted to use his Demoniku Hedasumasu only for the man to swat it away. Jin cursed as he was forced to lift one of his tonfa up and block a kick from Mr. 2 that sent the pirate skidding backwards. Jin rushed back towards Mr. 2 as he twirled his tonfa around. He threw the right one forwards as Mr. 2 screamed Okama Kenpo, Swan Wind Wing open and kicked his right leg out. Jin's tonfa slammed into Mr. 2's foot and both of them were sent flying backwards and into the walls behind them. "What the hell is this Okama made of?" Jin shouted as he sat up. "He kicked away my tonfa. Not even my Swan Wind Wing could stop him," Mr. 2 said in surprise. "That's it, from now on I'm being serious." "Bring it on," Jin replied with a smirk on his face. "You still don't understand the powers of the main no am I, do you? The most terrifying thing about it is my ability to memorize," Mr. 2 informed the pirate. "I can create any kind of face, and when you laugh that will be my time to strike. First the funniest head, then the funniest eyes, then the funniest nose and finally the funniest mouth. Today's special performance, main combination. 90% of that is your face." Sanji deadpan formed the sidelines as Mr. 2 fell to his knees. "You just put Usopp's nose on your face," Jin stated as he ran forwards and slammed one of his tonfa into Mr. 2's face. "Stop playing around. Have you no blood or tears?" Mr. 2 cried. "Because this is boring," Jin replied with a glare. "You dare to call my show boring? My show is not boring," Mr. 2 roared in anger as he stood up. "I once met a man whose friendship prevented me from hurting him. I think I know what you're going to try." Jin sighed. "So go ahead." "Gahahaha, I'd like to see you try to MPH. The Okama yelled as he shifted to Usopp's face before he was cut off by a tonfa to his face. "Damn you bastard, this is your friend's face, what do you think friends are for? No matter whose face you try to use I'll know it's still you. This is a pathetic trick I will not fall for," Jin stated. "My friends are made from their heart." "Better close my eyes," Sanji thought. Don't want to have to stop Jin from attacking the Okama. Mr. 2 dropped to his knees at the proclamation that the man in front of him just made. He couldn't believe that such a man existed. As the Okama questioned his resolve in this battle he was forced to jump backwards and away from the charging Jin. His eyes went wide as the man slammed his tonfa into the floor and ground exploded beneath them. Mr. 2 looked up and glared at the man in front of him. He got to his feet as he noticed the dark look appearing on Jin's face. The man was glaring at him like he was ready to kill him and was spinning his tonfa around fast enough that they seemed to appear as only a blur. Jin rushed at the Okama and drove the tonfa into the Baroque Works agent's chest and sent the man flying backwards as he spat up a wad of blood. Damn it, Mr. 2 whispered in fury, I'll show you the strength of my Okama Kenpo, main character beauty attack. Jin cocked his right eyebrow in confusion as he watched the Okama attach a pair of swans to his feet. As Mr. 2 put the swans on his feet, he informed Jin that the left one was male, while the right one was female. Jin could hear the Okama bragging about his strength as he shot forwards and began to unleash what he called his exploding swans attack. Jin moved his head to the right and dodged the first kick. His eyes widened in shock as the swan's neck straightened out and hit a wall behind him, blowing a small precise hole in it. You're lucky you evaded mount attack, because the soft swan necks have metal beaks, Mr. 2 mocked as he smirked at Jin. When such a powerful attack comes to one point, there will be no wasted damage. My one kick is like a bullet, except this bullet is quite big and it can definitely create a hole in your body. Jin cursed as he was forced to move out of the way of another kick. He flinched in pain when the swan neck extended and grazed his arm. He glared at the Okama as he attempted to drive the tonfa through the agent's head only to have it kicked out of his hand. Jin swore as he jumped backwards in an attempt to find the tonfa, only to be forced to dodge a kick to the head. What's the use of all the training I've done? Jin thought in anger, I've prepared for this, I have to show them that I'm worth their time. Jin began to twirl his tonfa around once more as he felt himself relax and watch Mr. 2 prepare to kick him once more. Jin dodged the kick and spun around, driving the tonfa into Mr. 2's back. As the man let out a gasp of pain, Jin drove the other tonfa into the Okama's leg and forced him to the ground. The pirate's eyes darkened as he brought his tonfa up once more. He drove it down as Mr. 2 dodged. The impact blew the ground apart as Jin tracked the Okama. The pirate fell into his Akuma no Dansu as he rushed at Mr. 2 and hit him in the stomach with his tonfa, causing the man to spit up blood. As the Okama bent over, Jin drove the other tonfa into his back and forced the man to the ground. As Mr. 2 hit the ground, Jin forced him back to the air with a kick. He then drove the tonfa into the Okama's head. As Mr. 2 hit the ground, he tried to force himself back up only to collapse and spit out blood. I lost, Mr. 2 sighed through the pain. You made me stronger than I was before, Jin told the man. What will you do now? I can't even move, so you win, Mr. 2 stated. If you want to kill me, just do it. My life will be ended by the organization anyway, so what are you waiting for? Just finish me off already. That was a good fight, Jin admitted. Let's go, Sanji said as he placed his hand on Jin's shoulder. We should get you checked out by Chopper. Earlier with Zoro, Nami, Johnny and Yosaku. Hopefully this goes better than last time, Nami thought as she stared at Miss Doublefinger. With this version of the Kleem attack it will be hard. Nami was forced to jump to the side as Miss Doublefinger charged her and attempted to force a spike between her stomach. The woman's thrust went by her body and into the all behind her, causing it to shatter into bits. Nami gulped as she saw the damage that the single thrust of the spike had caused. She could hear Miss Doublefinger mocking her as the woman swayed her hips. The Baroque Works agent was seriously underestimating the navigator of the Straw Hats. Do you realize what I am? I ate the Toge no Mi and became a spike human, Miss Doublefinger informed Nami with a smirk. I can grow spikes from any part of my body. Come get me, Nami yelled out as she had all three of her pipes out. It's your death, Miss Doublefinger screamed as she rushed forwards. Miss Doublefinger had a large smirk on her face as she changed her right hand into a large and thick spike. She was sure that she had already won this battle as she thrust her arm forwards and pierced through Nami's chest. A shocked look appeared on the navigator's face as Miss Doublefinger began to laugh. Her laughter ceased as she noticed the woman in front of her slowly turning in a mist-like substance. You've been tricked, Nami mocked as she appeared behind the Baroque Works agent. What? Miss Doublefinger screamed in shock. Cold bubbles can change the temperature, and under apparent change of temperature creating a bent in the light way, Nami informed the woman, so this weapon is most fitted for me, after all. A mirage, Miss Doublefinger yelled in confusion. How could you do that in such a small place? You just have to know about the weather, Nami replied with a smirk. Nami started to twirl her staff around as Miss Doublefinger rushed her. The Baroque Works agent turned her fingers in spikes as she forced Nami to jump backwards. Nami was pushed into a corner as she reached back and touched the wall that blocked her escape. Miss Doublefinger laughed at the navigator as she charged forwards and turned both her hands and chest into spikes and stabbed forwards, pinning the navigator to the wall. Although you have a nice weapon, it doesn't have much power, so you can only look at it as a playing tool, Miss Doublefinger mocked as she turned her lips into a spike. If it's made for a purpose, to specifically kill people, then it can be called a weapon. Miss Doublefinger pushed her head forwards as Nami allowed the clothes the Baroque Works agent had pinned to rip. As soon as the clothes ripped, Nami dropped to the ground and rolled to the side as Miss Doublefinger made contact with the wall and obliterated it. Nami screamed in fear once more as she began to run away from her dangerous enemy. Such a toy, Miss Doublefinger stated as Nami turned around and noticed the woman had one of her pulls. This toy can't kill me, its electricity is weaker than the static electricity I get off a jacket. Don't say such things, Nami yelled as she charged forwards and knocked the pole from the woman's hand. I'll show you how this weapon can be used. I have to fully use these 3 rods and the weather of this country to win, Nami thought as she watched the woman in front of her. There needs to be more moisture in the air. I know what to do. Rain tempo, Nami yelled as she held out two of the poles and placed one on her head as they began to shoot out water. Are you making yourself a spring now? Miss Doublefinger questioned in confusion. Sprinkler, Nami yelled as she began to spin around in circles. Now doing water dances, Miss Doublefinger asked as she looked at the pirate. This is harder than I remember, Nami shouted with sharp teeth. Have you played enough for your party? Because I can't display weakness, and if you want to play, then let's play together, Miss Doublefinger stated darkly as her hair turned into spikes. What? Nami yelled as the woman started to charge her. Sea urchin stinger, Miss Doublefinger shouted as she charged Nami. Cool ball, Nami yelled out as she blew into the rod. Don't think that I'm a little beehive, Miss Doublefinger yelled as she just missed the dodging Nami and crashed into a building. A beehive? Nami questioned in confusion as Miss Doublefinger walked out of the building. I'll die if I get hit by that. That was just a play in response to your game, Miss Doublefinger replied with a laugh, so you get something interesting to watch too. Heat ball, Nami yelled as ignored the other woman and blew into her heat rod. Miss Doublefinger watched the navigator's futile effect to inflict damage on her with no interest as she turned her fingers into spikes. She brought her hand up to her shoulder and thrust them inside her shoulder. While this was happening, Nami continued to blow the rod that was producing the heat balls that she needed. She turned to look at Miss Doublefinger when she heard the rip of clothes behind her. What? Nami screamed in shock as she looked at the strange sight in front of her. Toge doping, Miss Doublefinger muttered as she caused her arms to enlarge. I said don't look elsewhere, didn't I? Nami froze as the woman began to charge her and spikes appeared on her arms. The Baroque Works agent used her stinger flail as she threw a punch that Nami dodged. The woman made contact with the pillar behind Nami and shattered it immediately. Nami screamed as chips from the broken pillar hit her legs and embedded themselves inside her as she collapsed. I just stopped your best talent, I see, now you can't run away, Miss Doublefinger mocked as she closed in on Nami. My feet are cut up by that pillar, Nami thought in annoyance and pain. Oh yeah, how about the bubbles? Nami looked up and smiled at the small cloud she could see in the sky. She forced herself to her feet as she held her heat and cool pole in each hand. She began to spin them around, creating more bubbles for the small cloud as Miss Doublefinger continued to walk towards her. Nami had to quickly put her pole back together to block the stinger flail that Miss Doublefinger used on her. As the attack hit her staff, she fell to the ground with a small smile. Nami pulled the pole apart and swung the electric pole at the woman. Thunderbolt tempo, Nami yelled in triumph as a lightning bolt shot out of the cloud she made and hit Miss Doublefinger. Miss Doublefinger's eyes hardened as she charged at Nami while turning her hands into spikes. She thrust the spikes into Nami, before the woman once more disappeared using her mirage tempo. I won't forgive you, Miss Doublefinger snarled. Today's weather is calm, with a high air pressure, it's sunny throughout the day, Nami informed the woman smugly, but in some places there are mirages and even tornadoes, so be careful of tornado attacks. Are you still alright? Miss Doublefinger asked sinisterly as she noticed the blood flowing down left leg. Today's weather is tornado, Nami shouted in desperation as she held the rod out in front of her. That wound which has been hurt till now, that left leg, you can't stand much long, Miss Doublefinger yelled as she turned her hair into spikes, sea urchin stinger. The woman charged forwards and drove her head into Nami, who had lifted her left leg up to stop the attack. The spikes easily punctured Nami's foot as the navigator let out a scream of pain. Miss Doublefinger let out a gasp of surprise as she was halted in her advances. I don't feel a damn thing, do you know that person's pain? Nami asked through gritted teeth. Compared to that, 1 or 2 or 3 legs, mean nothing, now watch me, tornado tempo. The pair watched the staff in anticipation, but neither expect what happened next as 2 doves shot out of the pole and ensnared her opponent. Nami let a gasp of failure as she expected the normal party trick after that, but much to her surprise the 2 doves started spinning around and caused Miss Doublefinger to do the same. The attack finished when it blasted Miss Doublefinger away and through a wall, knocking the woman out. I really need that upgrade, Nami complained as she fell to the ground, that's all I can do. Earlier with the swordsman. His arm isn't cut, Johnny yelled out in a panicked tone as he held his Dawnbreaker against Mr. One's right arm. He doesn't have a normal body, Yosaku replied in surprise as he held his Shadow Fang against Mr. One's left arm. Of course it isn't, I ate the Supa no mi, and my entire body became blades, Mr. One informed the pair of pirates as he turned his fingers into blades. So are you the students of the green-haired man? He's teaching us what he can, Johnny replied with a smile. I've heard about him, a couple of years ago in the East Blue after declining an invitation to Baroque Works from Mr. 7 he killed him. The famous pirate hunter in the East Blue did that, Mr. 1 growled out as he stared past the duo and at Zoro. Ha, how nostalgic, Zoro laughed out, but that was your fault because you wouldn't agree to my terms. All I told him was that I'd only join if you made me the boss, but he had to disagree and try to kill me, so I cut him down first. You're underestimating me, Mr. 1 roared as he pushed Johnny and Yosaku back. Do you think these simply pirate hunters can hold me back? What do you think you guys are? Zoro questioned. You're nothing but idle dolls who have no self-consciousness. You are being controlled and work for a dream world, or an empty group with no power. I'm going to kill these two and then finish you off, Mr. One stated. Johnny and Yosaku dashed at Mr. One with their swords drawn. They bow their swords down on Mr. One's arm once again only for him to them into blades to block the strikes. The two frowned as they noticed the bored look on Mr. One's face. They bought back their blades and dodged his arms as he brought them towards him. The pair dashed to the side of Mr. One and attempted to drive their swords through his kidneys only for them to bounce off the steel that was his body. The pair jumped back as they raised their blades as they glared at Mr. One. Hawaito Sarashu, Johnny roared as he rushed forwards. Kuroi Sarashu, Yosaku shouted as he dashed forwards. Spider, Mr. One muttered as he crossed his arms over his chest. Johnny and Yosaku held their blades above their heads as they closed in on Mr. One. The pair brought their swords down onto Mr. One's crossed arms. As the pair made contact with the Baroque Works agent, they noticed the glint that appeared on his arms. The blades had no effect on the man as the pair rushed past him with looks of shock. His body is as hard as a blade, Zoro commented as he watched the fight. If you can't cut metal, you can't cut him. That's right, Mr. One replied with his normal bored expression. Hidden slash attacks will never do anything to me. So, we can't beat him if we can't cut metal, Johnny mused. So what are you going to do? Mr. One asked as the pair of swordsmen looked at each other. We're in a dangerous position and danger can force a swordsman to become better, Yosaku stated as he looked at his best friend, because when we can take you down, we'll be stronger than we were before. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but since I gained these super powers, not one swordsman has been able to hurt one hair of mine. Mr. One detailed as slammed his fists into each other. You cannot beat me. Mr. One shot off towards the pair as he drew his leg back and attempted to kick Johnny across the neck. As he closed in on the man, Yosaku blocked the kick and Johnny attempted to cut the man's stomach open. Johnny growled in frustration as his blade was stopped by the man's metal body and he forced to drop under Mr. One's fingers as they swiped through where the man's head had been seconds earlier. I wonder how long you two can last, Mr. One asked with a tiny frown on his face. Don't worry about us, the swordsman duo roared. The pair watched as Mr. One dropped to the ground and began to spin around. As the man spun around, he turned his fingers into blades and muttered Sparklaw. The man threw a punch at Yosaku which the swordsman blocked with his blade. As Mr. One drew his other arm back to throw another punch as Yosaku, Johnny slammed his blade into the fist, stopping it in its tracks. The pair were forced to stop the Mon's next attack as the Baroque Works agent started to deliver quick jabs that clashed with their blades. As each blow hit their swords, the duo were slowly being pushed backwards. They were thrown off guard as Mr. One bought his leg back and kicked out at the pair. The duo's blades were thrown into the air as the kick cut through their chest and opened the pair up. What did I tell you? Mr. One mocked as he watched the duo stand back up. We're not done yet, Johnny yelled as he picked up his blade. We're going to make Zoro proud, Yosaku declared as he held his blade in front of him. Hawaito Neku, Johnny roared as he rushed forwards. Kuroi, Yosaku shouted as he rushed forwards. Mr. One smiled at the pair as they brought their blades towards him. He brought his arms up only for his eyes to widen slightly as he noticed the pair slipped around them. Johnny ran his blade across Mr. One's neck as the sound of metal on metal rang throughout the area. As Johnny's blade hit Mr. One's neck, Yosaku attempted to pierce the man's stomach. Yosaku sighed as he watched his blade hit Mr. One's stomach and come to a halt. The man brought his arm up and slapped Yosaku away and into a building besides the pair. As Johnny screamed the shock, the Baroque Works agent spun around and Johnny in the chest, sending him flying into another building. It's over, Mr. One declared as he looked at Zoro. Only one more to go. They cut you, Zoro told the man. What? Mr. One questioned as he felt a drop of liquid leave his neck. It's only a scratch, but it's a start, Zoro stated. Johnny, Yosaku, I'll take him out. You think you can cut metal? Mr. One questioned. I know I can, Zoro stated as he drew Wado Ikimanji. I'm the man who's going to be the world's greatest swordsman. Mr. One watched as Zoro raised his blade above his head and began to charge at Mr. 1 meter. The green-haired swordsman muttered out Itoryu, Baki. Mr. One's eyes widened in shock as Zoro seemed to appear in front of him and bring his sword down vertically. Mr. One felt his chest be cut through and felt the blood rush from him as fell to his knees and let out a gasp of shock and pain. Not as strong as it used to be, Zoro muttered in distaste. I'm not done yet, Mr. One roared as he forced himself to his feet. I'm going to kill you. I'll finish you with this next move, Zoro stated. Itoryu Ei, Shishi Sun. Atomic Spurt, Mr. One yelled out. Zoro let a smirk appear on his face as he dashed at Mr. One. As he closed in on Mr. One, he unsheathed his sword and quickly cut Mr. One across the chest. As he passed Mr. One, he quickly sheathed his sword and placed his blade back on his hip as he turned around and looked at the passed out Baroque Works agent. You did it, Zoro heard from a collapsed building. You both did your best, Zoro told them, but we'll need to up your training. Okay big brother, Yosaku shouted from another collapsed building. Let's go find Nami, Zoro stated as he walked over to help the swordsman duo. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is The Crew That Shook the World by KuramaSageNaruto. Chapter 19, The Final Fight. So where do we go now? Jin growled out in annoyance. As soon as they had met up with the doctor of the crew, he had wrapped his whole body in bandages. "We'll head to the palace," Sanji replied as he lit up another cigarette. "Where's the rebels?" Kaya asked the group as she looked through the streets. "There's no one fighting." "That would be due to Luffy," Usopp told her. "This would be why he split up from us." "What did he do?" Jin asked in shock. "We'll tell you later," Sanji stated. "Let's just get to the palace. With Luffy, Robin and Vivi." "So, he's going to come here first?" Vivi asked as they stood in the palace courtyard. "Are you sure about this?" Chaka questioned the pirates. "Yeah, he'll be here," Luffy stated as he began to stretch. "Then why don't you let us bring the soldiers in?" Chaka questioned. "They'll just get in his way," Robin told the small group. "We left Koza after we told him the truth, but we can't be sure that the rebels won't attack anyway." "Chaka," a soldier yelled out as he entered the courtyard. "General Chaka." "What's wrong?" Chaka shouted back in worry. Inside the palace, the man yelled back before he was cut off. "Some troubles that you have stirred up. You guys have caused quite a mess for me." Crocodile stated from the rooftop he was sitting on. "This will be my house soon, so you guys may as well flee now." "Crocodile," Vivi screamed in anger. They were telling the truth, soldiers yelled out from the streets. "He really does want to take over Alabasta. Break down the gates and help her out," a soldier yelled. "Vivi, stop them and get out of here," Luffy stated as he walked forward. "Let me handle this." "Ah, Straw Hat Luffy, just another snot-nosed brat who doesn't know who he's up against," Crocodile mocked. "Is that what Whitebeard told you?" Luffy replied with a smirk. "Before he utterly destroyed you." "You little brat," Crocodile muttered in anger. "I'll make what I did to her father look like a love tap." "Papa," Vivi screamed in horror and she noticed her father pinned to the wall and bleeding. "Vivi," Cobra muttered, "I'm sorry, you created a chance to save this country with your life, but now there seems to be no more hope." "Don't go near the king, Crocodile," Chaka yelled in anger as he stared at the Shichibukai. "Ha ha ha, the king is right, but Miss Wednesday, the only reason you got so far is because of that band of pirates," Crocodile mockingly stated. "Princess, there is a bomb planted in this city, it's in the clock tower," Robin told her. "Go find our friends and stop it from going off." "Nico Robin," Crocodile growled out in annoyance, "I didn't see you betraying me, but I'll kill you after I'm through with him and have made you do what I need." "What you need?" Cobra questioned through the pain. "Pluton," Crocodile replied with a large smile, "after this kingdom is crushed, I'll take your seat and find it." "Robin, get the old man out of here," Luffy ordered as his skin took a red tint. "Gear second, Gomu Gomu no Hawk Rifle." Crocodile's eyes widened as Luffy leapt from the ground at a speed he hadn't seen for years. The boy threw his arm back and twisted it as he coated it with Busoshoku Haki. He snapped his arm forwards and it quickly launched into Crocodile's stomach and caused the man to spit up a glob of bile and blood. The man fell from the building as Luffy jumped above him and lifted up his leg. He stretched his leg high into the sky and brought it down on the Shichibukai and forced the man to slam into the ground. "I'm going to make you pay for what you did to her," Luffy stated as he heard a cannon fire. "What the hell was that?" "Looks like one of my men just restarted the war," Crocodile laughed. "This city will be destroyed." "I guess I'll have to finish this quickly then," Luffy said. "You've let yourself get complacent in paradise." With Vivi and Koza. "Hold the white flag high," Vivi told the soldiers as they let the rebels into the city. "Rebels, listen up, we've been tricked," Koza shouted out as he stood next to Vivi. "This has been set up by one man who wanted us to tear this kingdom apart. The war is over." As Koza opened his mouth to tell them the truth, they heard the telltale signs of a cannon firing from the palace. He turned his head and his eyes widened as he noticed that the cannonball was heading right for them. He quickly shielded Vivi with his body before he heard a man say "Blue Walk" and rush through the sky. "Who the hell shot this?" Sanji roared as he kicked the cannonball into the sky. "Don't worry about it," Zoro told the man as he unsheathed Wado Ikimonji. "They won't be able to shoot anything else." The rebels and the royal army watched in shock as the green-haired swordsman slashed his sword across the sky and an arcing blade of air seemed to shoot out of it. The air blade closed in on the palace and cut through the cannon and the man behind the one that was fired. Sanji quickly rushed the man and grabbed him. He threw the man to the courtyard. "This man isn't a part of the royal army," Nami yelled as she entered the area. "Lift his sleeve and you'll see he works for Baroque Works." "Did he just cut through our cannons?" a soldier muttered in fear as he stared at Zoro. "The other one kicked a cannonball," a rebel stated in shock. "Who the hell just kicks a cannonball?" "Vivi, we'll find the bomb. You tell your people what's happening," Nami told her. "Let's go guys." "Who the hell were they?" Koza asked as he watched a few bandaged men and a woman follow the orange-haired woman. "They're Luffy's crew," Vivi replied with a smile on her face. "They're here to help me out." "You definitely made some interesting friends," Koza replied. "So who's going to tell them the truth?" "I'll do it," Vivi stated as she wailed forwards. "It's time for the people to know the truth." With Robin. "Who are you people?" Cobra muttered through the pain. "Why are you helping us out?" "Because of the princess," Robin replied. "She's their friend, they'd do anything for her." "Aren't you supposed to be pirates?" Cobra asked in confusion. We have a very different view of pirates. After all, Luffy wants to be the pirate king due to that being the person with the most freedom, Robin informed the man. Freedom, Cobra muttered in surprise, what about you? Me, I want to find out the true history, Robin replied as Cobra's eyes widened, and I need your help for that. How could I help? Cobra questioned while faking not knowing why. Because you have a poneglyph in Alabasta, Robin replied, and I need to read it just to make sure of something. You sound like you already know what's on it, Cobra said. I can guess, after all you have an ancient weapon hidden in your country, Robin stated as she continued to walk forwards. What? Cobra muttered in shock. With Luffy. Luffy stood across from Crocodile as the Shichibukai forced himself to his feet once again. Luffy had to admit the man had a level of determination he didn't remember from his previous lifetime. Luffy smirked at the man as he shot forwards once more. Crocodile lifted his hook and attempted to stab the rubber man through the head. Luffy lifted his right leg up and slammed his foot down on the hook, shattering it to pieces. As Crocodile looked at the broken hook, Luffy reared his leg back and coated in haki. He kicked forwards and hit Crocodile square in the face, sending him stumbling back. Damn you, Crocodile muttered in annoyance as a blade replaced the hook. Why are you fighting for such a pathetic kingdom? Because you hurt my friend, Luffy replied. You mocked her, you tried to take her kingdom for a weapon you have no idea about, just so you can hurt Whitebeard. Don't say that name, Crocodile yelled out in annoyance as he raised his arm, Desert La Spada. Luffy coated both of his arms in Busoshoku Haki as he watched Crocodile form 4 solid blades and sent them at him. The Straw Hat Pirate lifted his arms and punched through the sand blades with ease as he noticed that Crocodile had used that time to disappear. His Kanbunshoku Haki flared up as stretched his head to the left as Crocodile's blade pushed past his head. Luffy quickly turned around and punched the man in the stomach and then elbowed him in the head, sending him flying backwards. You brat, Crocodile roared, how do you know 2 different colors of Haki? I had a good teacher, Luffy replied with a smirk. I still need some time to master it, but at this level I'm ready to beat you. Damn you, Crocodile roared as his bottom half turned to sand and he rushed towards Luffy. Gomu Gomu no Hawk Gatling, Luffy shouted. As Crocodile rushed towards Luffy, the Straw Hat Boy started to throw punches forwards while his arms were coated in haki. As the Shichibukai got close to Luffy, he tried to come to a stop as Luffy's arms turned into a blur and seemed to become many more. Crocodile pulled up delayed and felt the first punch connect with his face, and from there it got worse. His whole body was pounded by Luffy's fist as he started to spit up blood and spit as bruises began to form on his body. The Shichibukai never expected someone this powerful to be in paradise. He couldn't believe a single brat and his crew had stopped his plans. This is over, Luffy roared as he threw his haki-coated fist back once more, Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk. As soon as Luffy's arm snapped forward, it caught fire and rushed at Crocodile, making connected with the man's stomach. As the fist made contact with Crocodile's stomach, the fire erupted into an explosion and Crocodile's eyes rolled to the back of his head. A burn mark was clearly seen on the man's stomach as Luffy stood over him. Let's finish this, Luffy muttered as he lifted the man and threw him towards the city courtyard. With Vivi, Crocodile did that, a rebel muttered in shock, but he's this country's hero. What's happening here? The citizens of Alabasta heard a female cry. We're letting them know the truth, Vivi told the woman. Are you here to stop Crocodile or stop the ones who are trying to help? I don't know, the woman Marine admitted. Captain Smoker left it up to me. Well, we know the real villain here, Vivi spat as they heard a crash from near. Then, what was that? It's Crocodile, a man yelled out in shock. He's knocked out. That means he won, Vivi shouted in glee. I see you've done your part, Luffy stated as he entered the area by rooftop. Can I leave this to you, Tashigi? Straw Hat, Tashigi growled out. This time, just this one time I'll let you go, but next time me and the captain will take you down. You're welcome to try, Luffy replied with a smirk, but I'm not going to get caught. After all, I'm going to be the king of the pirates. With the other Straw Hats. So, this is the clock tower, Jin stated as he looked at the large building in front of him. How do we even get up this thing? Johnny asked as he looked at the clock on the building. There has to be some way to get up there, Yosaku stated. After all, they got the bomb in there somehow. This is why I came here, Sanji muttered as he lit up a cigarette, although someone needs to come up with me. Why would you need someone to come with you? Kaya questioned as the clock began to open. He, this is our last job, a woman laughed as the Straw Hat's sweat dropped in understanding. Baroque Works Company middle-class worker, Miss Father's Day and Mr. 7 Inches. Mr. 7 yelled as the Straw Hats noticed the large cannon next to him. Miss Father's Day has purple hair, with a long, thin widow's peak. Over her hair she has a frog-styled hat, with appendages jutting out with white balls on the end. She wears a purple shirt with pink dots that shows off her belly with a yellow button-up shirt underneath, and a blue tie. She has frog-styled sleeves at the end of her shoulders, and white gloves. She wears a purple skirt with pink dots on it, and a frog-style decoration with white balls on the end. She also has frog-themed boots, that go up to the middle of her shins. Mr. Seven's body is covered with sevens, including his eyebrows, shoes, and gun. He has puffy bluish-white hair, that is styled similar to a helmet. He sports a purple coat that goes down to his ankles, with yellow frills on the shoulders, in of the sleeves, and in the middle part. The coat also has parallel sevens on each side of the chest. Under the coat he wears a dark blue shirt with pink lines on it, and a light blue neckerchief. He wears black trousers with long white socks, and yellow shoes in the shape of sevens. He also has square yellow sunglasses with red lenses. I wonder if we can get a promotion through this, Miss Father's Day thought aloud. What do you think, Mr. Seven? Ha ha ha, that's be awesome Miss Father's Day, Mr. Seven replied, because we're going to use such a big cannon towards the center of the crowd and shoot, so good. It's time, Miss Father's Day yelled as she listened to the clock, ready to ignite it. Oh, ha 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 ha. Understood, Mr. Seven replied in laughter. There 15 seconds till shooting, aimed at the center. Ignite, Miss Father's Day yelled in glee. Nami swan jump on, Sanji yelled as he ran past the woman and she latched her arms around him, skywalk. The straw hats that weren't from the previous timeline eyes bulged as they watched their cook casually run through the air with the orange-haired navigator on his back. In a few seconds he was standing in front of the clock tower as the Baroque Works agents pointed their guns at the straw hats. 2 shots rang out as the agents smiled at the pair they thought they hit head-on only to be stunned when the bullets exploded in the distance and Sanji rushed at the pair. Nami jumped off his back and swung the Climatact at Miss Father's Day. The pole connected with the agent's head as her eyes rolled back and was knocked unconscious as Sanji kicked Mr. Seven in the head, knocking him out instantly. So, what now? Nami asked as she noticed Sanji put out the ignition cord. We have to get this bomb out of her somehow, Sanji stated as he wrapped his hands around the bomb and began to pull it out. This thing is heavy. Then let me take it, they heard a voice call as they noticed a winged figure behind them. This place holds a lot of memories for the princess and I'll do my best to make sure it's still standing. Thank you, Sanji told the man as he watched Pell wrap his talons around the bomb and begin to pull it out. Good luck. Pell smiled at the pair of pirates as he pulled the bomb from the cannon and took to the air. He soared through the sky and picked up speed as he got higher and higher above Alubarna. As they watched the man, their eyes widened when the bomb exploded with the man still seemingly holding it. Nami screamed out in shock as she watched the explosion before Sanji grabbed her shoulder and whispered a few words into her ear which resulted in the navigator smiling at the cook. There's not so much death this time, Nami stated with a smile. Do you think he's done yet? Depends, Sanji replied with a smirk. Is he toying with him, or fighting properly? With Luffy. You all right Vivi? Luffy asked as he stared at the princess. The battle is over. Can it really be though? The princess replied. The agents are giving up without any resistance. Koza, the king called from Robin's shoulder as the woman had a small smirk on her face. I believe we need to talk. Kong Cobra, the leader of the rebels yelled out as he bowed his head. Please forgive me. Rise boy, Cobra told him. I don't blame you for any of this. As the king of Alabasta touched the rebel leaders should a drop of rain fell from the sky. It wasn't long before that single drop was joined by more and downpour began. As the Alabasta citizens were cheering the rain they didn't notice the 2 pirates of the party disappear from the celebration and begin to look for the rest of the crew. But we have done something that can't be forgiven, Koza cried out as the king rested his hand on the young man's shoulder. Leader, Vivi whispered in sadness. Of course I regret the beginning, of course I cry and feel sad, Cobra told Koza. We have lost so much, yet gained nothing. Your Majesty, the crowd called out in surprise. King, Koza muttered. No, we need to walk forwards, no matter who your enemy was, as long as we know that the war is over. Cobra shouted. No one can declare the past into null, no one. We will reunite through this war and do our best to live on. The crowd looked on with tears flowing from their eyes as their king addressed them. They knew the kingdom would move past this war and maybe become closer due to it. We will rebuild the Alabasta kingdom, Cobra yelled. With Smoker. Smoker, a female voice yelled out. This rain, you couldn't have. Couldn't have what? Smoker replied in annoyance. Used dance powder, the voice yelled back. You idiot, I know the difference between doing right and wrong. Smoker replied. I wouldn't use something that Alubarna has outlawed, why would I go against it? Sorry, Hina has wrong, let's talk about something else. The White Hunter, Hina said. How did you become so fat? Hina is a tall and slim woman with straight, waist-length pink hair that she wears in a middle part. She has dark brown eyes and wears red lipstick. She wears a burgundy-purple 2-piece suit over a white blouse, as well as dark brown shoes and a pair of dark gloves, and also has a long white marine jacket draped over her shoulders like a cape with light blue epaulettes. Mind your own business, Smoker growled in annoyance. Don't you think you just did something a bit harsh, just randomly using my best troops? Hina told him, just to search a ship for you. I'm surprised. Hina is surprised. Hey, don't say that, it was for a fellow marine, Smoker replied dismissively. You're always like that, I feel for Tashigi, Hina stated. HMPH, Smoker sighed. Whatever, just take this ship back to the main base. Why? Hina questioned. Take Crocodile from Tashigi, who's bring him here too, Smoker told her. Hey, what gives you the right to order me around? Hina asked as Smoker pulled a coin out. Heads. You lose, Smoker stated as he flipped the coin. Geez, you never change, Hina muttered. Hina is disappointed at. Enough, I know it myself, no need to remind me, Smoker stated dismissively. The next day with Tashigi. Captain Smoker, Miss Hina, Sergeant Tashigi is here, a Marine yelled out. It's nice to see you Tashigi, Hina greeted as she walked off the Marine ship. Sorry but I'm a bit tired, so I'm going to rest, Tashigi told the woman as she walked past her and noticed her. Captain, I'm back. Good job, Smoker told her, I've already heard about them. I'm sorry, I had to help them and I couldn't even catch them after, Tashigi cried, as a Marine I should be punished for my actions. Why are you apologizing? Smoker questioned as he looked at the woman, didn't you do what you thought was justice? No, it's because I could do nothing at all, Tashigi admitted with tears in her eyes, they were the ones who stopped the rebellion, they stopped Crocodile and they even stopped a bomb, I could do nothing to help the people and that isn't the justice that I know. Tashigi, some people have as much power as I do, yet they're much higher ranked than I am, it's because they know that if they can't go up in this world of sea, they can only float downwards, Smoker stated as he watched Tashigi walk up the ramp, go forwards or drown, why did you come along? Sorry, but I need to rest now, Tashigi muttered as she walked past Smoker crying. Stupid, Smoker muttered in disappointment, why don't you do something besides crying about it, why don't you get stronger? I will, Tashigi screamed with tears freely flowing. If you have half of her will then it's all so easy, Smoker told the rest of the Marines, alright, bring the prisoner on board. Captain Smoker, a Marine called from the cabin, phone call from the main base. This is main base, a voice came across the Den Den Mushi once Smoker picked it up, is this Captain Smoker? It is, Smoker growled. In regard to your capture of Crocodile, the government officials will award you and Tashigi with medals, the voice told them as Smoker glared at the phone. Reward? Smoker questioned, wait, we didn't defeat Crocodile, didn't I tell you? Also, your ranks will increase by 1, the voice stated ignoring him, therefore. Enough, listen the guys who beat Crocodile and Baroque works, Smoker yelled in anger, were the Straw Hat Pirates. Smoker it's useless, Hina yelled at the man, the government decided to cover this whole thing up, do you think the government would tell the world that the ones who saved Alabasta are a group of wanted pirates? So, we invite you two to the award ceremony, the voice told the annoyed Smoker. Are you joking with me? Smoker roared. Smoker just accept the award instead of pirates, Hina yelled at the man, why go against the government? Who said we beat Crocodile? Because we couldn't and that's why my subordinate is crying right now. Smoker yelled in anger, I've had enough, just tell those high-ranking bastards. Yes, the voice asked. Smoker, Hina yelled. Tell them to go eat sit, Smoker stated, this is real justice. 3 days later. With Chopper and Vivi. This is an amazing combination, I've never seen anything like it, a man said as he watched Chopper, where did you gain such skills from? Tony is an outstanding doctor from Drum Kingdom, Vivi told the man as his eyes widened. That makes sense now, you come from the island that is really well known for its amazing doctors, the man stated in surprise, I'm actually learning new thing from this even though I've been a doctor for 40 years, but still, I don't even have such skill. You guys is way too noisy, don't forget that I'm here bastards, Chopper shouted as he pulled a seat back and pushed some tea across, you guys go elsewhere will you bastards. Can we take this as have your tea and watch quietly, the doctor asked Vivi. I think we can, Vivi laughed. Whoa, really outstanding, the doctor said as he drank his tea. Quiet, Chopper yelled. With Usopp and Sanji. This country is really strong, Usopp admitted as he watched the people fix up the place. Because the princess is cute, Sanji stated. Does that matter? Usopp asked as he looked at the chef. It does, Sanji said. With Zoro, Johnny and Yosaku. Now it's time to continue running through your training drills, Zoro told the heavily bandaged Johnny and Yosaku. Big bro, what are we going to do about Chopper's orders? Johnny asked. Don't worry about that, just work on getting stronger, Zoro yelled at the pair. With Nami. Every book seems to be very interesting, Nami admitted to the king, can I really have them all? No problem, I've already read them all, Cobra told the orange-haired woman. Thanks, Nami replied as she continued to read the book. With Luffy and Robin. So, you got him to show you it again, Luffy asked as he looked at Robin, why did you do that? Because he needs to know, the woman replied, after all he does have an ancient weapon in his country. But wouldn't it have been better if he didn't know about that, Luffy questioned. Do you think the world government doesn't have some clue that it's here? Robin told him, this makes things much safer for Alabasta. Fine, that makes sense, Luffy replied with a sigh. With Chaka. I already told you I don't know, don't you understand? Chaka told the group of Marines, now go away. It won't do any good if you're lying, a Marine yelled at Chaka, harboring pirates is a serious crime. I don't know anything about pirates, Chaka told the group as Sanji and Usopp walked past him. Hey thanks, Sanji said. Ah, back already, did you find the thing you needed? Chaka asked. There's a lot, Sanji admitted as he kept walking, with the kind of condition this city is in, it's a bit of a surprise we could get so much. Yeah true, Usopp replied as they entered the palace. Can you prove that those pirates are here? Chaka asked the Marines. Do you think everybody's recovered yet? Usopp asked Sanji. I don't know, last I saw Moss Head was taking the 2 idiot swordsmen out with him, Sanji admitted, and Jin's already moving around. That's thanks to Chopper and Kaya, Usopp proudly replied, he's training her so well. Later. So, we've let everybody recover for the past 3 days, but it's nearing the time to leave, Nami told the crew as they crowded into the room. The Marines will be looking for the Mary, so we have to go soon, Luffy said, which means you're going to have to make your choice soon. But we still have to do something, Usopp told them, we have to fulfill a promise between brothers. And that's why this Den Den Mushi is here, Luffy told them, this will be a call between captains, so I'll need you to stay quiet. As the crew nodded their heads, Luffy quickly put the number Ace had given him into the Den Den Mushi. As the phone rang, the crew that didn't know who he was calling waiting with bated breath. It wasn't long at all before the phone was answered. You've reached the ship of the Whitebeard pirates Yoi, a voice rang out, who's calling Yoi? Monkey D. Luffy, the Straw Hat pirate stated, Whitebeard should be expecting this call. Ace's brother, huh, the voice stated, you've certain made waves, I'll go get pops for Yoi. Brat, a voice rang out, what do you want? Did Ace talk to you? Luffy questioned. Of course, he's trying to find that other brother of yours for now, Whitebeard stated. He also put forwards the idea of an alliance, and with everything we know that sounds like the best bet. But you know I'm going to be the Pirate King, Luffy told him. It's not a title I'm interested in anyway, Whitebeard replied, get here when you can, we've still got to have a drink. I'll see you then, Luffy replied with a smile as he hung up and noticed the non-time travelers of the crew had gone white. Whitebeard, Johnny muttered in fear, the strongest man in the world. And we're allies with him, a shocked Jin stated. Let's get some food, Luffy stated as he stood up to leave the room. Later. This country's best bath, Cobra told the crew, it's usually only used in the rainy season. This is great, Usopp yelled as he ran towards the bath and took off his towel, I'll be in first. No, you won't, Luffy yelled as he blurred by the sniper and sat in the pool. That's the best meal I've ever had, Cobra admitted as he sat in the bath. I thought of a quiet and tidy meal, but wherever all of you are, it will always turn into a party. This is so relaxing, Jin admitted. Big bro, Johnny yelled, join us. Thank you for washing my back, Chopper muttered to Zoro. Hey, Zoro, look, we can do training, Luffy yelled as he stood under the pouring water with Usopp. What training? Zoro replied as he stared at the pair. Hey, where's the girls' bath? Sanji asked Agaram. As if I would tell you, Agaram yelled, Princess Vivi is there. It's over that wall, Cobra told the cook. Your Majesty, you crook, Agaram shouted. Whoa, where are your manners? Usopp asked the man. With Nami and Vivi. This feel good, Nami said as Vivi cleaned her back. I wonder if there is a ship equipped with such a bath. There must be one, the sea is so vast, Vivi replied with a smile. There are giants and dinosaurs, a snowy country where sakura blossoms bloom, there is still so much to see. Nami chuckled as she turned to stare at the embarrassed girl, let's swap. Thank you, Vivi replied as she swapped places and noticed the men in eyelashes looking over the barrier. Hey, what are you doing? Those guys, happiness punch, Nami yelled as she stood up and revealed her chest to the men that shot off the barrier, that'll be 100,000 each. Still the same as ever, Robin laughed from the side of the bath while she washed Kaya's back. That long-nosed pervert, the archer spat in annoyance. Nami, Vivi shouted in disbelief, you're still thinking. Or think of leaving today, Nami admitted to the woman. Huh, really, Vivi muttered. We don't have any reason to stay here anymore because Luffy recovered, Nami told her, the Marines are guarding the coast and our ship's in danger. Other side of the bath. Thank you all, the king said. Perverted old man, the Straw Hats replied. I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the country, Cobra told them as he bowed to the pirates. Hey, is it alright for you to do that as a king? Zoro asked as he stared at the man. Cobra, your majesty, this is a big problem, Agaram yelled in shock, kings shouldn't bow their heads. Agaram, status exists if you wear your clothes, but here in the bath, the king told the man, there is no naked king, I'm speaking as a father with the heart of a citizen, to thank you, to thank everyone. Later. Tonight, Usopp questioned. Yes, Nami replied. We're leaving, Chopper muttered. I think this is the right time to go, Zoro stated, what do you think? Yeah, the Marines have started to move, Sanji told the group. It's up to you Luffy, Nami said to him. I would like another meal, but I guess it's time to go, Luffy admitted as they had a knock on the door, come in. You've got a phone call, a nervous guard muttered, from someone called Little Bon Bon. Hey, it's me, yahahaha, Okama, the voice yelled. Hang up, Sanji muttered with dark eyes. What do you want? Luffy growled across the phone. What, isn't this Straw Hat Luffy, you're still alive, Okama is so happy, the voice yelled, now look, don't call me Mr. 2, the Marines may have tapped the phone and I'll get into a lot of trouble. Get to the point, Zoro stated in frustration. Oh yeah, your boat, I took it, the man replied. Don't joke around, Luffy yelled, where are you now? Aboard your ship, the man replied. This Okama pisses me off, Luffy growled. Wait, listen to me first, aren't we friends, the man asked. Later the night. Why did you make me so long? Mr. 2 yelled from the Going Merry, long time no see, you're all thinking about me. Oh, here we are, Nami said to the duck she was riding. You can take off the luggage now, thanks for everything, Usopp told his duck. This is far enough, thanks, Chopper stated to his duck. Careful on your way back, Luffy told the duck. Give my regards to the king and the curly-haired dude, Luffy yelled out as the ducks ran away. Take care, the rest of the crew yelled. Goodbye, if we're destined to meet again, we will, Mr. 2 cried. No, that's not right, wait a second. What the hell, Sanji said with a scowl. How is this idiot so strong? Jin questioned under his breath. You still ask, geez, Mr. 2 complained, what's this, old friends meeting, and you don't say hi. Who's friends with you? Luffy asked as he glared at the man, you're an enemy. Wah, that time was my mistake, Mr. 2 admitted, HMPH, forget about it, that's in the past. Move, Zoro stated as he walked past the Okama. Baroque Works is disbanded, Mr. 2 stated, we're not your enemy anymore. Even if we're not your enemy anymore, I don't have to let you aboard, Luffy told Mr. 2. HNN, and that's what I get for a favor, Mr. 2 complained. What are you talking about? Luffy asked in annoyance. Think about it, the Okama told them, if I didn't move this ship away, what would have happened to it? Probably confiscated by the Marines, Nami admitted. Not probably, certainly, it nearly got taken away, don't you know the condition around here? Mr. 2 yelled, it's totally covered by Marines, understand, totally cover, not even a goose would be allowed to escape. So, you took the Mary, so the Marines wouldn't get it, Luffy summarized. Really? Usopp asked. Why? Chopper questioned. Because we are friends aren't we? Mr. 2 stated with a smile. So, you're really a good guy, Luffy shouted as him, Usopp and Chopper danced with the man. Is there any more luggage? Nami asked Sanji. No, this is the last one, Sanji replied. So, in short, it's because of the Marines that you weren't able to get away, Jin told the Okama, that's why you came for help, right? That's right, Mr. 2 yelled, this is the time that enemies should come together and out of the situation. Really? Nami asked in distrust. We thank you all for the offer, was here from Bon Clay's ship. Who cares about you all? Zoro shouted at them. The next day. Damn it, Luffy roared as he sliced through another iron spike that was shot at them, fire the cannon Usopp. We can't afford to let any more of these spikes hit to Mary, Sanji yelled as he kicked on away from the ship, if we take much more damage we're going to sink. Luffy let a smirk work its way onto his face as he heard the cannon fire from the Going Merry, he watched as the cannonball flew through the air and hit one of the Marine ships in the mast. The Straw Hat Boy nearly broke down into laughter as the ship that Usopp hit fell sideways and took out the ship next to it as well. Mr. 2 Bon Clay, Luffy heard one of the man's men call, we've got bad news, Black Cage Hina is here. Who's that? Luffy asked as he landed on the deck of Mr. 2's ship. She's the captain of the Marines around her, Mr. 2 told Luffy, she's really strong, we better run. Yes, Mr. 2 Bon Clay, the Okama's crew yelled. What are you doing? Let's go, Mr. 2 yelled when he noticed the Straw Hats hadn't moved, if we go forwards we will sink. You can escape, Luffy told the Okama, we have to go straight. But why? Mr. 2 yelled in shock. Because we have a meeting to make, Nami replied thinking about her last talk with Vivi. Why would you risk so much for a meeting? Mr. 2 asked as he stared at the crew in disbelief. We're going there to pick up a friend, Luffy told Mr. 2 as the Okama started to cry. Fine then, listen up crew, Mr. 2 yelled. Yes, Mr. 2 Bon Clay, the crew yelled back. If we run away now, we're not worthy of being Okama, Mr. 2 shouted with tears in his eyes. If we're not allowed to sacrifice ourselves for our friends, we wouldn't rest in peace, so listen up Straw Hats, I've got a plan. The Straw Hats' eyes widened in shock as Mr. 2 told them his plan and no amount of arguing would stop him from going through with it. So only minutes later the Going Merry continued on its path as Mr. 2 and his crew disguised themselves as the Straw Hats and headed for the gap in the formation. The Marines quickly surrounded Mr. 2's crew and the Straw Hats swore they could hear the shouts of disbelief once Mr. 2 and his crew gave themselves up. We'll never forget you, Bon Bon, Luffy cried with Usopp, Chopper and even Sanji. 30 minutes later. I recently went on an adventure, Vivi said over the loudspeaker as the Going Merry sat still at their meeting point. It was an adventure over deep oceans and dark tides in search of hope. The ocean I met on the day I left was vast and full of unbelievable islands which hold many things. There were creatures I had never seen, incredible sceneries and the sound of the waves. They are sometimes so peaceful, as if they were trying to cover up all the trouble around us. But sometimes they were so violent, as if they were laughing at the weak. But in the darkness and the storms I found a tiny ship. That ship pushed me forwards and told me, can you see those lights? That ship will always find its way out of darkness. It was truly an unbelievable ship. It's as if it was dancing, sailing through gigantic waves, even though it seems they're just drifting, they only go forwards, even going against the wind. In the end it will raise its finger and say look there's the light, even if history will make this light seem like an illusion, they will always be real to me. Did you hear that? Zoro asked. That speech right now was definitely from Vivi. It's the ceremony at Alubarna, Sanji stated with a sigh, seems like she decided not to come. It just sounds like Vivi, that's all, Luffy said, stubbornly refusing to accept the truth. Let's go, it's almost 12 already, Zoro told Luffy. She will come, I know it, Luffy yelled in frustration, she's definitely over there, let's dock and look for her. Bad news, Usopp yelled, the Marines have caught up to us. How many are there? Zoro asked. Too many, let's sail now, Usopp replied, full speed ahead. Forget it, Luffy, Sanji told Luffy, she is different from the Vivi that was with us. Everyone, the crew heard a voice yell. Vivi, Luffy shouted in joy. Kuru, Chopper shouted. Look, she came, Luffy shouted. Let's turn back, Usopp yelled. Vivi, Sanji screamed, lovestruck. The Marines are coming, Nami yelled with a smile on her face. I'm here to say goodbye, Vivi yelled. What did she say? Luffy questioned as he saw Kuru pass a speaker to Vivi. I can't go with you, thank you for what you've done for. Vivi's voice came over the speaker again, even though I still want to go with you, but right now I really love this country, so I can't come along, even though I want to stay here, but if there's one day where we meet each other again, will you take me as a friend? Luffy opened his mouth and closed it as he heard the Marines yelled out at the princess, questioning her relationship with the Straw Hats. The Straw Hat Boy looked at his crew and nodded as they turned their back to the princess as tears flowed from her eyes. The crew unbandaged their left arms and threw them into the air, revealing the X on each of their arms, the mark of friendship that each would hold forever. Let's sail, Luffy yelled as the Going Merry picked up speed. Later. Those Marines, they're not chasing us anymore, Luffy stated, it seems we've lost them. What's wrong with you guys? Zoro asked as he stared at the rest of the crew bar Jin and Robin. We're lonely, the crew said as one with tears flowing from their eyes. Don't cry anymore, geez, still not accepting her leaving, Zoro muttered, I knew that I should have dragged her on board. Whoa, you're a barbarian, Chopper stated in disbelief as the rest of the cry insulted the swordsman. I understand, just cry for all I care, Zoro replied as he brushed them off.